And for the press, there are two other things that are going on the schedule. It's a YMCA and Part 182 lawsuit that didn't get put on the schedule because it was something I thought about last night. Have a seat. Here's the situation. Good morning. Here's the... We've got a somewhat interesting turn of events here, I think, on the cars on the runway. From what we see, the DEC has shut down Coparts because they're storing the vehicles on grass. We have not had a problem with the DEC storing the vehicles on pavement. The DEC, and you even saw it in Newsday today, indicated that that was not a problem. IAA needs more space. They've come to an agreement with Ray Maynard and Skydive Long Island to close the 10,000-foot runway. We don't necessarily have the acreage because I forgot to call Rob Hubbs in the morning. But what they've asked is if we can release the 10,000-foot runway for 4 months total. And what they would really be doing, it's an agreement with Mr. Maynard because he has the use of the runway, and then we would be signing on to that agreement, and I'll let you explain that. But one of the things that they've said, which is would be very nice for the town, is they would make the 4-month payment to the town immediately, and it could equate to something on the order of $680,000. Now, I want to say something to the board. I know, we've taken a little bit of heat for having the cars here. I do not believe that there's any environmental issues. The DEC has been through the site. The fire marshals have been through the site. The Manor Fire District has been through the site. The Wading River Fire District has been through the IAB site. They've received inspections from everybody under the sun, and we don't think we have any significant problems, and we have to differentiate ourselves from what was being done next to wetlands and things like that on the Berman site. For the public, what this means to the public is this: we have 2 years left to balance the budget, 13 and 14. The payments, because I sort of believe IAA will be there a full year, that's almost $2 million. This $680,000 will afford the taxpayers one more additional year of tax relief. That 12 to 14% tax increase will be stemmed by these two agreements if the board goes forward, and that's huge. Not often do the taxpayers see immediate benefit of something like this, but they will, because that tax increase or that budget problem has to be dealt with, and this is something that is sort of essential to us. So Bill, why don't you explain what the legal mechanism here and...
Essentially, Skydive has a non-exclusive runway use agreement, which means they get to use the runway. We can't interfere with their operations, but we could allow other people to use the runway. So they don't have the right to just lease it out without our consent. So one, they need our consent to enter an agreement with IAA, and also IAA needs our assurances that we're not going to lease it to anybody else during this short 4-month period. So what we're going to enter into would be a consent agreement, where we're consenting to the agreement between IAA and Skydive, and we're also agreeing not to lease it to anybody else during that 4-month period. The price is going to be the same as we did with the other runway. We put it down $3,200 per acre per month. But and this, because it's a consent agreement, it's not a monthly at least type of thing, it's a consideration payment, which makes it a one-time fee in consideration of us giving up certain rights that we have to the runway for that short amount of time. As with the other runway, we're totally indemnified. We're going to be additionally insured. Their insurance policy, they have to comply with all state local regulations, which they have been doing. The DC has been to the site and has given their unofficial standard approval. They've been quoted in the paper saying that they're fine with everything that's going on at EPCAL. They are parking on pavement. They do have spill procedures. If they withdraw any type of spill, they have the proper procedures in place. The DEC has reviewed that. The DEC has also given them some guidelines that they wish them to follow, and they've agreed to sign off on all of those procedures. So,
My only question, maybe just to back up, a lot of people wonder, where are these cars coming from and why are they here? So I know it's all part of storm abatement, this is where do these cars all come from? Not why is there such an influx of vehicles?
This is all from the hurricane. This is from the boroughs, the 5 boroughs, and Nassau and Suffolk.
This is all still storm
This is all-
mitigation
This
and...
is all storm cars. There's probably 100,000 cars out there that are being total losses.
I was just saying, I heard you were talking.
So everybody's car insurance will next year.
And these cars are not coming from out of state or anything like that, they're only from Long Island.
Correct.
Yeah, I heard there was over 60,000 cars that need to be abated out there.
Yes.
and our agreement recites cars damaged by Hurricane Sandy. It's not for other
I went on the
cars.
website yesterday, and those are the regular auction, we have weekly auctions to try to thin out the herd, and I guess just some of them are collision, but most of them are water damage.
Well, our regular business is collision with some floods. This is all the flood cars from the hurricane that we're bringing out to these sites.
The only thing under the airport facility is the flood cars.
Is there a number total?
Right now, I think I don't have the accurate number from yesterday, but I think somewhere right now we're sitting on, there's probably about between 5,000 and 6,000 cars sitting at the runway today.
Today? So it's
I
an
think it was
additional...
6, though, I mean.
Yeah, it's
I was close.
I would say
Huh?
6.
And the batteries have been disconnected in 75% of them, you're working
That is
through that.
Yes.
And the average stay, if you will, at EPCAL is still 30 to 45 days.
Yep, as soon as the title comes back from the state, they get sold at our next auction.
And most of your records use 25, not this back road, River Road, and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Do you have facility?
We have instructed them many times. There's 2 exit numbers, I believe, that they're allowed to use. And I've even spoken to the police, and I said, if you see one, ticket them. So
No, don't worry.
They're well aware.
They will.
We do appreciate the ones that earlier this week were coming to the
Yeah, we had a
front
whole
of town hall.
caravan, yeah.
Along with the dumpster.
Yeah, the GPSs, I guess, sent to the 200 out loud.
And again, as you understand, there's probably 100 tow truck drivers coming, so if one guy makes a wrong turn or he's a new driver or something,
They all follow them?
we're trying to
Yeah.
control it.
I've seen tow trucks in Tampa, Florida.
So how many more vehicles?
They're from Florida,
They're all over the
Texas, they're
place.
from the Midwest.
We're probably
Yeah,
going to
they were bringing them into everywhere.
It's a big
Set up a
thing.
toll booth
It's-
for
There's
Haulers.
another opportunity.
But now you need more space, so there's still more cars out there.
Yes.
Yes, I
That's
think we
correct.
have approximately another, somewhere between 18,000 cars.
So if you have some more land that you would like to,
No, this would be the extensive, we don't want anything on any grass.
No, it's really-
no, we don't want to.
I know you're doing this in a few areas, right? Not just that, Cal. I mean,
That's correct.
the need is more than just what we can do.
We have facilities throughout Long Island, County, there's a lot more information, but we have facility over in Bethpage, a couple in Nassau County, Brookhaven, we have 3 or 4 locations in the Brookhaven area as well. Yeah,
So it's not just Riverhead.
correct.
No, I think you're at the amphitheater.
Yes,
We are.
that is correct.
That's
With-
over there, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I just have a question, Bill. Are there any other license agreements for the use of the runway other than Skydive Long Island at the current time? No. Okay, and so they will be getting the license agreement from the town for $3,200 per acre, and then the town would give a one-time fee for Skydive giving up their rights to the runway for a 4-month period, is that correct? Or
No.
who's getting the $3,200 per acre?
We are, but the town is getting them. Whatever agreement, we're consenting to the agreement between Skydive and IAA. And in consideration for us consenting to that agreement, we're getting paid the same amount that we got paid for the other.
We're not
Yeah,
involved.
we don't know what the
Okay.
agreement between
Right.
Skydive and IAA is.
Okay, that's
And
what
I
I
don't
want
quite,
to clear
yeah,
on.
I don't
So-
wanna know.
Yeah.
That's between you.
We have a private agreement that
Yes,
we're
all we wanna know is between us.
Okay, the question was answered, thank you, John. The next question I have, you have hazmat license, right, for spill control if there should be? And is somebody inspecting, because I did speak to some of the security guards that are there, and they told me that they're just stationed to make sure the tow trucks come in and come out. Do you have people on a regular basis that are walking the site to make sure there are no spills?
We have a regular branch manager for us else that we brought in that's managing that facility himself. And we have, how many other IA employees do we have on site?
Well, there's probably 50 out there right now.
Okay, good.
There are regular IA employees.
Yeah, George and I went there the other day.
Yeah, it's quite
Did
impressive.
they hunt you down? Because they hunted me down when I bypassed security.
I had to place your base, we went in
Hit the
there.
base.
They also did provide us with their hazmat protocol, and it was part of the agreement.
Okay, the next question that I have is, I had concerns when we had discussed this with the previous agreement as to whether or not they were bonded, so that if at the end of the day there are cars that are left on the site, then the town is responsible to take those cars away. Do we have any surety, if this company should go out of business, that the town is covered for any expense that we may incur to get rid of these cars? And who has the pink slips for the cars, so that we know we can dispose of them, if at the end of the day you walk away?
Are we referring to the first agreement or the second agreement?
Well, I was told that we were covered for the first, so
Yeah,
if I
yeah,
wanna,
What we did was we took a $166,000 security deposit from them, 168, and then I checked with Gershow Recycling to see what the value of the vehicles were, and conservatively speaking, the value was $500. It's not difficult for the town to obtain title, especially in an abandonment situation. So if they were to leave the vehicles there, the value of the vehicles on that runway, plus the $166,000, would far exceed what we were making per acre. So it seemed
right,
to
but
be
we
protected.
still have to pay for the hauling out of the river.
They would come pick them up
They would
for
come.
$500 a car.
Well, that's an important question. I mean, you don't foresee much more. I mean, at the outset, it's a couple, 3 months extension, but in totality, you don't foresee it being longer than a year.
And for this second runway, it's only until March, it's not
Right,
extension.
well, because of
March 30th is our drop dead there, and there
So that'll be a priority, get that cleared first.
And as for the security for the second runway, instead of making a security deposit with us, they're actually going to be making a, I believe, $3 million escrow deposit, because of course on the second runway, so.
We just got Ed's attorneys here, if you have questions, we can ask them to come up. I didn't want to get them too involved because it is a private agreement with them, but if there are questions, I'm sure Peter can ask them to answer.
There's a very large financial for any cars past March 30th. So not violate March 30th.
You're right.
Ray would be very happy if he did, probably. And you're paid for it. So here's the, keeping with our motto of moving quickly, the town board has moved quickly on several things. So they kind of needed it now. And we didn't call for a board meeting, but we have done in the past ratified resolutions, and they have passed Bill did draft a resolution. If the board's inclined to do it, we could all signify that we were going to sign off on it and then ratify it on Tuesday.
Well, I wish I would have known that this was coming, because when you were looking to lease the westerly runways, the offer was $2,500 an acre, and I said, they're not the only company out there, let's solicit other companies that are doing this and see if we can get the price up per acre, and that's why we ended up, Mr. Duffy made the phone call to you, you came up to, I think another company came up to $3,000, and then you came up to $3,200. What is the going rate per acre for the storage of these cars in other areas?
This is probably the high end of what we're doing. Because, again, because it's a 100% clean facility.
And it's just to emphasize the difference here, we're not, this is their agreement with Skydive, and we're just consenting to it, so Skydive had somebody else that they brought to us, we consent to that, but we're not really negotiating with any other parties, because they're the only ones that have the agreement with Skydive, so in this case, we're just consenting.
Time is of the essence, because we have to get these cars out of the way so that people can reconstruct their lives and their homes and, get the infrastructure fixed, so.
And this is good for tax money of the town of Riverhead.
John, but it could be better. If we got it from $2,500 to $3,200, that's $35,000 more a month per use.
Yeah, but we're
Just
not
in a 10-minute
negotiating.
phone call.
Skydive is negotiating. All we're doing is signing off what Skydive is doing, so it's not our negotiation.
And sometimes you have to leave a little money on the table. This is not, this will get quoted, I'm sure. Bulls make money, bears make money, pigs get slaughtered. you know,
Yeah, but there's
it's
a high
always
demand right now.
been my
I happen to
honor.
like pigs.
Not like him.
Sorry,
So anyway.
don't quote that.
I think
But,
the
you know,
most important thing, visually, it's not attractive, but as long as there's, in here it says there's no significant adverse impacts, either natural or socially environment, so, I mean, I don't think it's a bad use. My only concern is that it doesn't become, you overstay your welcome after a year, that's all I'm concerned.
And this one is 4 months.
This is-
Well, the idea, this
This
I realize that.
is March 30th, and believe me, we are not gonna overstay our
Last thing we, this is another,
It's a very large financial.
I'm sure, I can't
Actually, from
imagine.
the highway, you can't see the vehicles on the 7,000-foot runway. There's woods all in front of that, so from the highway, if you look, it still looks like green, EPCAL is all green, as far as the 7,000-foot runway. The 10,000-foot runway, the lower end, you probably will see a little bit more, a little bit more of it. But that's only gonna be in March, so really, that's only 4 months of the year, so.
Our main goal
I can go
is
along with that.
to get these cars.
Yeah, sort them, right, sort them and get them out.
Streets so they can reconstruct, that's.
I mean, the 18,000 cars that we mentioned are still on the streets. I mean, they're still on the street.
You know, my cousin's in Seaford, and
Yeah.
she said that she's walking
Yeah,
between
hampers,
farm
hampers,
and-
mediation.
Between the state and FEMA and everybody else, I mean, they're clamoring to get these cars removed so that they can continue the cleanup effort for the
Yeah.
people that
So
consume.
your business is, you go in, people let you purchase vehicles from the insurance companies, and
We don't purchase them for insurance companies, we actually are just a holding company for them. We just take the title from them, we sell them on their behalf.
oh, okay, I see, okay.
And we're not bothering the funerals that are across the street because you can't see those vehicles. If you come into town to go into the National Cemetery, so, you know, we're not disrupting or, you know, not the place, but the people.
Right.
I still see greenery when they come into town
Not anymore.
to bury their loved ones.
Plus, you've got a huge
Right.
boom to the local economy between the restaurants, the delis, the pizza.
The tow truck companies,
gas stations.
I wish I had a tow truck, I'll tell you that.
If you had a tow truck, you could make
That'd be
very good
a
money.
good business this year.
They close the Staples.
Right.
We've, matter of fact, it's funny, the branch manager says every time he goes to Home Depot, he says, the store manager comes up and gets his cart for him and walks him through the store.
We like to hear that.
Well, plus, this helps the hotels out here, people have to stay out here, these records, and it helps the food, selling industry, because they go out here for dinner, they stop for coffee. I see tow trucks all over the place when I go out to Calverton.
And every day
Yeah,
we're bringing food
restaurants
in,
and stuff,
we're bringing
yes,
food in
sir.
for the local restaurants for all the employees on site. I mean,
All local
Yeah.
pizzas, their sandwiches and that type of thing, it's all coming.
Yeah, so it really helps the economy.
What time should you be for lunch?
Every day.
12:30.
What do you serve?
Is it 12:30? I'm not sure what today is.
But I mean,
It can't be pizza every day, though.
it's certainly, I hate to help our economy with other people suffering, but we're helping them by getting the cars out here, and we're helping our economy by using our food and lodging facilities out here. So I think it's another win for the town of Riverhead and the facilities out here.
And I'll be honest, I was a little apprehensive about it at first, but then when I realized that we really have to help just the situation, the storm cleanup and stuff, so it was our way of helping out to get that done.
You know, that's unofficial, I'm gonna sign off, and if we get 3 signatures, hopefully we'll ratify it on Tuesday, and you guys can be good to go today. Was this easy to do?
Okay, good luck.
Everything.
Good luck.
We thank the town for, you're welcome for your support.
That's it?
Good luck again.
Yes, everybody's.
All right,
They're good, they wouldn't let nobody in there, I like that, I'm trouble being.
let's do Calverton Industries.
Great, thank you.
Everybody's here.
Welcome.
And we're paying our attorney, so let's have Bill stay here.
Sorry, guys.
Calverton Industries. Calverton Manor, sorry, Calverton Industries, Calverton Manor. Mr. Mancini, if you and John Wagner want to come up and our attorneys come up, let's figure out where we are.
Good morning.
Good morning.
quiet. How are you?
Good morning, George.
Good morning.
Anybody need a copy of the most recent stipulation?
I don't have
I didn't know if this was going to be.
This was back from a couple months ago, but I guess I believe it was
I'm sure I
One more?
I've read it. Thanks, I have it.
You have it.
Does anybody in the press want it?
Yeah.
Extra?
You want me to make it?
Yeah, we'll make copies.
Yeah.
All right, so, in the interest, we're gonna keep this in full disclosure because the residents, and so I know this is a little weird for us attorneys to be doing it this way, but, it's appropriate at this particular juncture in time. So where are we and, where are we going? This is the question.
Bill, I had a question, I guess it was a couple of weeks ago, when you come into my office and asked if I had made a decision about Calverton Manor, and after meeting with a couple of the civics, it was, the question came up between 2001 and 2003, that the application was made in 2001, the comprehensive plan was adopted at the end of 2003, the zoning for the master plan was adopted in 2004, and my question was, what happened between 2001 and 2003 when the comprehensive plan was adopted, and an Article 78 proceeding, and whether or not that was ever settled, or if that's what we're still dealing with now, and was there a moratorium in place? When did the moratorium take effect? Why did the town board, if they didn't review the application, why didn't they, or the planning board? And I wanted to see the backup on that. So where are we with those questions?
Well, John, you can chime in, correct me if I'm wrong, but they had made an application prior to the change in the master plan. There was no moratorium in effect. I believe there was a litigation to compel. John, would you say?
Why don't I,
Give us the history.
I've been living this thing, so I probably do this in my sleep.
Okay.
An application was filed in 2001. Development of the site in full accordance with the zoning at that time, which was business CR along the road frontage to a depth of 1,200 feet from Route 25. That application was processed by the town for a period of time. Then the town began exploring the possibility of doing a comprehensive plan to basically rezone the core of the town, the agricultural areas of the town, while the application was pending. Notwithstanding that process, my client was assured by the town that it did not affect the processing of this fully compliant application that they had pending. And all the fees were paid, site plan fees were paid, and we even had correspondence from the town attorney at one point as to when the application would be approved, and it would be approved before any comprehensive plan or zoning changes were effectuated.
Okay, and we have copies of that letter from the
However,
town attorney
I don't have copies of that.
saying that it would be approved before the comprehensive plan was adopted?
I can
I'm
provide
sure we have
copies
them,
of
we
that.
just digging someplace out there.
It's out there. But the long and short of it is, we, despite the assurances that were given, the application was put on the back burner, and in fact, the heat was turned off on the back burner. And the application was allowed to languish. Meanwhile, the comprehensive plan process went forward. In November of 2003, the town adopted the comprehensive plan, before to adopt it. We think it did effectively, that's part of the litigation. Our application was still pending, and the town could still have approved the application because the zoning was still in place for it. Comprehensive plan does not change the zoning. So we continue to press for approval of the application. In fact, I made a specific demand, once I came into the case, for approval within a fixed period of time, so as to get this thing over with, and we could vest our rights on the existing zoning. What happened, however, is the town completely ignored that request, and I had to bring an Article 78 proceeding.
Mandamus?
A mandamus proceeding in early 2004 to compel the planning department and the planning board to complete the review of this application before any attempt was made to change the zone in accordance with the comprehensive plan. The town actually delayed in answering that proceeding and then did not file a proper return. We had all kinds of procedural delays in that case.
Just a quick question. Go
Retard.
back, just
Yeah.
step back. The original application, 2001,
Yes.
into 2004, had that changed?
The application itself?
Yeah.
No, the
The
last
design
version,
change?
the last version of the application that we submitted, with all the changes that have been requested by planning staff and whatnot, was in September of 2003. All fees were paid, and the whole thing was teed up to go at that point. And then nothing happened.
Is there a reason why nothing happened? Did the board
Well,
have
we-
some
well,
kind
we
of
found out.
was there
We
objection to it? or-
found out after we brought these lawsuits, I mean, we have 5 lawsuits pending regarding this. The first one was brought with respect to the adoption of the comprehensive plan, effective adoption, November 2003. Then I brought that mandamus proceeding, I just mentioned to the councilwoman, that was in, I believe, February of 2004. Then the town, notwithstanding that, went ahead and started to change the zone. The first thing they did was they created the agricultural protection zone, which affected the southerly portion of the the northerly portion of the property. And we had to bring a lawsuit against that. That was in June of 2004 that they purported to do that. So now we have 3 lawsuits pending. A few months later, in October, I believe, they decided to change the road frontage down on 25 to RLC zone from what it had previously been business CR. So we had to sue against that also. Then in 2005, the town adopted a transfer development rights program, which was also defectively adopted in our view. So that was the 5th lawsuit. Now, what we found out as we were doing all these lawsuits was that the town internally had purposely held our application from being approved.
I just want to state one thing.
Yeah, please.
I just want to say
That's
one.
an assumption.
Well, I want to say, because we're doing this open session, Lisa's going to be, and Bill's going to be very,
We're cringing.
yeah, they're not probably going
We
to
say-
give legal advice to the board publicly.
Yeah.
So they may or may not agree with what Mr. Wagner has stated, because what Mr. Wagner has stated is all in his paper, not this, but all in his papers. The board has to be equally reticent to not really say too much, because it wouldn't be, if this goes through in litigation.
Oh, I find myself, I'm biting my tongue a lot over this.
Right. So I just want to be cautious on that, and I'm not going to recognize you unless your attorney wants you to speak, and I do that for your own protection.
I understand, and I have a question. If there's not going to be any response on the other side, is this whole thing just a shandy, or what's the purpose
No,
of this?
the purpose of this was that you wanted to have a meeting with me, and I felt that it was important for the entire board to hear what you had to say so that the story remained consistent.
I wanted to have a meeting in order to see, we have in my understanding, we have a December 5th date, which is
Yes.
next Wednesday. And I said to you, and I said to anyone who was listening, we've been trying to settle this case in good faith for 5
I
years.
understand that,
Can I finish?
yes.
And if we don't settle it prior to the 5th, I'm going to instruct council, which I have, that I want to go to trial. And I purposely lobbied this board to have this meeting under the understanding that we would either come to an agreement to settle or we wouldn't.
No, we may.
What I'm hearing now,
No, no, we may.
this is just an opportunity to talk.
Let your attorney speak,
Let
please.
me finish.
I just needed to get that on the record.
I'll clarify my remarks, here what you said, Mrs. Supervisor, which is, these are our allegations, okay? And they are in our papers. If anyone wants to go and read, the papers have been filed. We've been very busy over the last few years.
I just want to say argumentative and jump up, that's all.
I don't have to pound the table because we have good facts. And we have good law. So, in my opinion, okay? But you know, this is a unique case because one of the claims that are being made in the case are that under a doctrine called special facts, notwithstanding change of zone, this applicant is entitled to approval of their original filed application in 2003. Okay, that is one of the allegations, and there have been cases that have been very successful in that score, and in fact, the Court of Appeals just recently accepted an appeal from the Appellate Division Second Department, which is our appellate division, to review the Appellate Division's reversal of a verdict on special facts. So the Court of Appeals is hot on this issue right now. And, you know, we believe we have very compelling facts that, apart from what we allege are the defects in the adoption of the comprehensive plan and the zoning changes, that we are entitled to build our project as originally presented and is not acted upon. So that's...
Mr. Wagner, I'm not going to ask my attorney to give us advice, but maybe you can share with us what special facts means.
Special facts, in a nutshell, is if someone has an application pending and it turns out that the town has deliberately refused to process the application because they have a zoning change anticipated that's going to make the project unapprovable, that the court will step in and will say that, notwithstanding what the zoning might be today, we're going, in fairness and justice, we're going to give the applicant the opportunity to get the approvals under the zoning that were in place when they made their application. They're not going to let the town get away with stalling applications so they can change the zone that make those applications null and void. That's what it is in a nutshell. That's one of our claims in this case, and that's really, we think, is a very strong claim. Now, the history of the proceedings in the courts, the town initially moved to dismiss all of our proceedings, right on the merits and on the face of the pleadings. And all of those motions were denied. The court saw merit in what we were saying and allow us to go forward to the next step. Now, we began negotiations at that point to settle this case. We have been in these negotiations since 2006. It's been a long time. All that time, we've been sitting there. I mean, I could have, we actually, our negotiations broke down a few times. And I went back to work with my word processor, and we produced more and more papers that were all on file in the court, and anybody can go there and read them. They're public documents. And, you know, we're really teed up to go forward with the court, if we have to. But notwithstanding that, the last few years, my client and I have been negotiating in good faith at the time, and the stipulation that is under consideration here is in the nature of a settlement. And a settlement is something where nobody gets what they want entirely, but they get something that benefits both sides. And everybody can walk away from it and say, you know, we split it in some way that works for everybody. And let me tell you what the stipulation does. I mean, I'm here to represent my client, but let me tell you what it does for the town. You know, the original application that was teed up here for approval back in 2003 was proposing a total of 35.5 acres of the site to be developed. This is a 41.7 acre site altogether when you consider the two parcels that are involved. That's a very substantial percentage of the entire parcel. Now, that's the application that if we're successful on our special facts case, and I think we are, that's the application that would be approved and would be built. You know? And it also proposed total building area of total building footprint of 176,000 square feet. Now, what are we doing with the settlement? Now, we're down to, with the settlement, we're down to 20.79 acres proposed for development. You know what that is? That's actually less than 50% of the site. What's the rest of it going to be? Open space. The entire northerly portion of the site is going to be open space. Okay? That's a substantial benefit to the town to have that open space. It's a substantial benefit to the neighborhood because it provides a very substantial buffer between the communities to the north and this development. All the development is basically pushed down onto the roadway.
The square feet?
And the square footage, the total square footage of the building footprint went down from 176.9, as I said earlier, to 98,900, under 100,000 square feet total footprints. Again, a substantial pullback on the developer's part, in the interest of settling this. Now, the other thing that's been happening in the last few years is, we've been discussing this with council and going back and forth as you're doing these things. And we've also, discussed it with the planning staff. And we came up with a plan that seems to be, palatable to the town. We consulted with the planning board and with the town board to get everyone's opinion and everyone's desires. We tried to work into the plan. So there's a lot of the town in this plan. A lot of the town's objectives are in this plan. And, the stipulation is meant to solve a problem, as most stipulations are. And, I don't see, after all this time, all this good faith effort, I don't see any reason why the stipulation cannot go forward. I mean, the court, just so you know, and Lisa can confirm this, the court has taken a very keen interest in this case all along, and has been thrilled that we have continued to speak.
Who's the judge?
Judge Beverly.
Rabellini, and as John said, the court has required us to come in at least every couple of months and report to them on how the settlement discussions are going. And at one point, when it appeared that the case was not going to be settled, the court wasn't happy because we had really been trying for so long to resolve it. And obviously, the court would prefer
Absolutely.
that a case be resolved if it's possible. And we're close to the end of the litigation process on the case. Town has put in all its papers, and the next step would be for the Calverton Manor folks to put in their reply to that. And then at that point, the case is going to be decided by the court. And although counsel's given his version of their case, unfortunately, we do believe that there are weaknesses on the town's side. Maybe not to the degree that John has presented them to you, but we do believe that there are significant weaknesses and that the town is at risk of losing the petition.
In 2003 is when the first suit was filed against the town, November of 2003, I guess shortly after the comprehensive plan was adopted.
Yes.
So,
November was the day of adoption. It was right on the eve of election day in 2003 that the comprehensive plan was adopted in session of the town.
okay, so you made the claim that between filing the application in 2001 and the adoption of the comprehensive plan in 2003, that your application was put on the back burner, that nobody was looking at it because they were going to move in a different direction as far as the zoning for this particular piece of property. Are there other site plans that were reviewed, that were filed after this, that had been approved, that were subject of the zoning of the comprehensive plan in order to make that claim, that they were put on the back burner? Are there site plans that came in after yours that were approved?
Councilwoman, I'm not aware of anyone in our situation that was teed up with a fully compliant application. Even the environmental review process was all submitted. I mean, we had comprehensive documentation that was submitted so that the secret review of the application could be completed. And we were teed up to go. I'm not aware of any other applicant or application that was in that situation. Nor am I aware of anyone who was held the way we were, held in abeyance so that this whole zoning could go into place.
Let me put you on the spot. Can this be differentiated? You represent a bunch of different applicants, so can this be differentiated from some of the other cases that might have a similar claim?
On its facts, this is the only one of the people I represent. This is the only one that had a fully compliant site plan application in process at the town.
So this is something that could be differentiated.
Yeah, I mean, I do represent other parties.
I know what, yeah, I
I mean, they have parcels, but they have their claims against whatever the process was for the adoption of the comprehensive plan and the zoning, but they don't have the special facts.
Can I ask you a question? When you started, who approved the plan? Was was there a planning board approval or a town board approval agency?
When we started, the town board.
When you started, the town board was the approving
That's
agency, correct?
correct, and that's what we.
Because I think that has to be differentiated, because people will say planning board, and actually at that time, it was the town board.
That's actually
That's
part of
right.
the problem, is that the
That's
town board had site plan jurisdiction those
Yep.
days, and the very board that was supposed to be reviewing our application was holding it so they could put the zoning.
Yes, okay.
Glad you brought that up.
I just,
I'm sorry.
yeah, see? That's it.
Well, it's a fact, the facts are the facts.
I do have, once I'm told something, I do remember it, yes.
So
Okay.
the site plan that was originally submitted was fully engineered, all the fees were paid, the drainage plans, everything was submitted, and that was all in, and you had received comments from planning that you complied with prior to the adoption of the comprehensive plan, is that correct?
Yes, and we were continually told that we would be on the agenda. And so we kept holding back. Anyone who's been in the business as long as I have knows that when the town comes back to you and says, we're ready to hear, we're ready for this, when we need an adjournment, when you agree to adjournment, you always, as an applicant, you always do, in good faith. And that's exactly what.
I'd love to see a copy of that letter from the town attorney stating that it will be approved prior to the comprehensive plan being adopted.
Can you I'm very careful what I want to say, but, so since 2006 till now, let's say almost 7 years, you've been negotiating with the town. Hypothetically, if your case is that strong, why?
I'd like to respond. Two things. I've been developing here in Suffolk County primarily for 40 years. I've been through all kinds of issues, and one thing that I've learned is if you don't have to litigate, never litigate. Okay, because the town, generally speaking, has unlimited funds if they decide they want to use them, and they can wear you down. Previous administration was completely disingenuous as far as I was concerned. They kept telling us they wanted to settle, they kept encouraging us to do small things, and kept buying time. And at the end of the day, when that administration went out, they went out. One of the things that I felt is that the new administration was business friendly, they would cooperate. I think to a great extent, I think I wasn't disappointed until maybe last week. But that's really, it's a pragmatic, Council, it's a pragmatic decision that one makes. However, you get to a point where you say, you know what, we're done. And after 6 years, it's really 10 years, after all that
Yeah.
time, we've had enough.
Thank you.
Outside the litigation, I'm assuming you're supported by the building industry to put people back to work, not the building, why can't I think of the Long Island builders?
Long Island.
Libby.
Yes.
So I'm assuming that this is an application that's supported by Libby. I know this because
It is,
they've contacted us.
it is.
Will you be seeking IDA credits, benefits?
It depends, those are not decisions that the applicant makes, okay, that the developer makes. I'll give you a perfect example, Mr. Supervisor. We're building, as you know, in Manor Rd, a 75 or 80,000 square foot mixed-use center. If you drive off exit 70,
Yeah.
you can see CBS there.
Not real happy with Andy Mitchell on that too.
Well,
I understand it.
so be it, but Andy approached us.
I'm kidding, I love Andy.
The Conic Medical Center approached us. They're leasing, we're starting the first building, they're leasing 3 buildings from us, 28,000 square feet in total. They're gonna probably put 100 people to work, plus we need doctors and all of that. And they applied for IDA approval and received it. It doesn't affect us as far as the landlord is concerned. I mean, it has no effect.
You're doing a triple net lease?
On the landlord, we do triple net leases, so it's really, and of course, the municipality gets payment and your taxes and all of that.
But I have to defend the IDA because development is bringing jobs to the town. And that's one thing the IDA looks at, is how many jobs you're gonna bring to the town. We are increasing the tax base because right now we're getting taxed on vacant land. And when you build, you're gonna get much more taxes, it all depends what's assessed at. But the IDA gives somebody a break They're gonna give them a break, a 50% break for maybe 5 to 10 years, and after 5 years, they start paying back. So you're getting more than vacant land. Actually, you're gonna give, and you give half of what the full assessed value would cost. And over a 10-year period, at the end of the 10-year period, you're gonna get the full assessed value. For doing construction and making jobs, I think the IDA, what concessions they make are good for the town of Riverhead, because we want jobs, we need the tax base expanded. So I think working together and negotiating is not bad for taxpayers in the town of Riverhead or the town.
I'll make another observation. I'm sure you've read the paper over the last month or so about the project that got IDA approval by the courts in Central Islip, that building Marriott Hotel, and I don't know the people, but the guys evidently who were the GCs or who were the owners hired contractors from New Jersey, and of course, at the fan, we always make a conscious decision, no matter what we do, whether it's IDA or not, to hire local. In our project that has IDA approval in Manor, it's all local. Most of them from Suffolk County. A couple of contractors from Nassau, because of my hair, and we would like to do anything different.
Basically,
right.
that's what I have to look at, you know. And plus the other thing is decreased acreage of build out over half, and the square footage over half, that's decreasing.
No, it's always been my
I mean,
experience.
yeah.
Always been my experience that when a developer files for application, there's always objections. And sometimes it's a legitimate objection, sometimes it's not. I don't think that's the point. And we've always, in my career, we've always tried to sit down with communities whenever they want to do, and do it. But once the project gets built, if it's done right, and I like to think that we're as good as anybody in the industry, if it's done right, people take advantage of it. People objected to our center in Manaville. We put 2 of them there, and typically speaking, on a rainy day, as much as a sunshiny day, the parking lot's packed. People take advantage of it, they go to the local retailers and they bring business in.
Well, I tend to agree with you there. We wouldn't have split splash if we were saying that.
Now, just another point about scale of developments. The stipulation, as I'm sure you've seen, has very specific ceilings written into it as to the maximum square footage that can be developed, the maximum footprint, maximum number of residential units, and even the maximum size of any particular building. It's 35,000 square feet. I mean, that was all done because of concerns that the town raised over time. There was a concern that this was going to be a big box project. That's why the 35,000 application is in there. There was a concern that it was going to be some kind of strip center. That's why it was redesigned, and you can see the new development plan that we've come up with after all this input from the town. It is a campus-style type arrangement with buildings clustered around the central area with courtyards. This is all consistent with what the campus-style architecture was under the business CR zoning. So, you know, a lot of thought and effort has gone into this, and a lot of it has been in response to town concerns. And I think we're addressing a lot of things here.
You can see it's a big change from the initial application, absolutely.
And
then
the
the
smaller
space
buildings that
being the
are
center.
campus style comply more with the new business CR definition than with the old business CR
But I
definition.
think this,
That was one of the objections.
I think this format here is good, because rumors fly. And every time a rumor passes one mouth to another mouth, it changes a little bit. And I think rumors over the years of this construction has really changed everything. And now with the with television here and the reporters here, maybe we'll get a correct and straight story out to the public so they can understand what's happening.
The thing that always frustrates me, Cal, is I always read about myself in the newspaper when we have projects, but no one ever calls me to talk to them.
Yeah,
You know, so I often say to myself, you know, your mind's made up, don't confuse you with the facts. I'm happy to talk to anybody and answer the questions to the best of my ability, but it's rare that I ever get a call. Not that I don't want to be a
Well,
movie star.
I have to, that's what happened with us with EPCAL with these cars. I mean, everybody thought we were parking them on the grass, but no one ever called us to say, where are your cars, are they protected, or what's the DEC doing with you? So I feel for you, because they do it the same thing to us.
Well, just, follow up on your point, Councilman. I mean, it's extremely frustrating for me as an attorney to read in the paper that some member of the public showed up at a meeting, a random meeting, and made statements about this development. And I read the numbers that are presented and everything, and are not correct. Now, if I could be here, I would correct those misstatements. But I can't be here at every meeting, and if I don't have any notice that someone's going to speak, I can't. I'm here today to clear the air, in part. I mean, for example, one of the articles I read, misstated the acreage of the parcel in total, and misstated, didn't say anything about the 50% open space we were providing for this stipulation, and misstated the acreage that would not be developed in the northerly portion of the property. I mean, these are significant things. And, if I'm here, I'm going to jump up and I'm going to say, I need to clarify that and correct that. But if I'm not here, somebody gets a free shot at this.
So that's why I think this is, with this open forum, it's a good way to get the information out.
I withdraw my objections.
It's going to be about balance. This is it.
I mean, without giving, any favor one way or the other, actually, I think probably over the time, I think the development, the stipulated development that you said it was a reduction due to concerns that the board might have had or the public might have had, it is probably a better fit today than that original one would have been today.
I would not deny that. I think
As far as
certainly the
sustainability,
marketplace, certainly the marketplace has changed in the last,
right.
I would say 10 years, I'll say the last decade.
So the town might do you a favor.
Emphatic, but certainly the marketplace has changed. I think that the product, the mixed-use product that we propose and that we come to some sort of an understanding on, I think it makes sense, it can be developed. One of the good things about it is it can be developed one phase at a time, so that it deals with the financing issues that are nationwide today and everything else, and it doesn't create a situation where we've got to go in and put millions of dollars up front and then look for tenants. We'll only get those phases done as we get tenants.
And some of the homes are going to be affordable housing. Am I correct?
They're all going to be. We're not. The rents are going to be probably market or below market rate. We are obligated by law to make 10% of them affordable under the state's definition.
Right.
So we have 40 units. 4 of them will be affordable under the state's definition. But we're landlords. We're investors. We're landlords. We own property. We don't just build to speculate. So we like to try and be a little bit under the market so we keep our tenants.
When we're negotiating this, and I've been on the board for 7 years, so I've been through this
I know you.
for a while. With the Peconic Bay Medical Center, you want to have affordable apartments for the staff to live there, so the commute wouldn't be so long for them, and they'd be right there in case of emergencies, that they could be right at the hospital.
I've spoken to Andy Mitchell, who's
That was part of it, yes.
who's the president of the town,
Right.
and I've told him that if they so want, and I think they do, we'll give his employees first shot. Those are stable employees that live in the town. They're exactly the kind of tenants
That you want, and
Oh,
that's the
absolutely.
kind of tenants that we want.
Absolutely.
So I mean, everything works hand in hand for this project and any project we bring into the town of Riverhead.
It's all about balance.
It's all about balance.
This is a difficult vote, obviously, politically for the board. You're mindful of that because you see the press. I guess the question is, what is the desire of the board? Should we move this vote on Tuesday? I'm not going to specifically put it, we're not going to put it on unless we have some sort of idea. I don't know if anybody's ready to.
Well, I certainly have some questions I'd like to ask outside of camera with planning staff and then legal counsel and then a lot of other things.
Okay. What's
Well, I've been here for at least 7 years through this, so I know what the ins and outs, what they did and all this stuff. And I would think this would be the best thing for myself, and I'm only talking personally, for the town to go ahead with.
Generally supportive of it, so.
Yeah, I'm ready to move forward. Like I said, I've done a lot of, I've spoken with planning. I've got the history. It's a clear path to, I think, approval to me. I just really like the idea that you've cut the project in half, basically, as far as land. You preserved all that open space to the north. Like John had said earlier, I think jobs, kind space. I think it's a good fit. So I think it's a good plan. So I would
Just
want to
for
move
what it's
forward.
worth. The other part of it is if the town board chooses to approve the settlement agreement, we still have to go before planning board, and I expect we're going to get beat up.
Right, yep. You
You
still have that process.
Well, I mean, it's only from experience, so.
That's right. You
They
still
owe,
have,
as Yogi says, they owe it to the
So it's
settlement.
over.
that's right, you still have that process to go
Yes,
through.
absolutely.
And that's a tough process in itself.
Yeah, and we've had some discussions with people at planning, and I think they want some modifications, and we're pretty much happy to do that.
And I personally think that this is a unique situation and could not be precedent-setting because the application was filed long before the comprehensive plan was adopted and the master plan was adopted. And the good faith of the town in telling you by a letter from the town attorney especially saying that it will be approved prior to the comprehensive plan being adopted, or they would move forward in reviewing the application. I am a proponent of property rights, and I don't like when boards are reactionary to applications that are being filed, and I don't like stall tactics and delays to prevent development when the application is complete, does meet the current zoning, and is submitted long before any comprehensive plan is being adopted, especially when there is not a moratorium in place. Had there been a moratorium in place when they started the study to prevent them from reviewing the application, then I can see a claim on the town and saying, we had a moratorium because we needed to take a timeout and we needed to look at this area and see where we were going with the zoning. And the town board did not put a moratorium in place during the review of the comprehensive plan, which would have been an indication that they would have kept reviewing your application. And I would like to see that letter, but as from what I've been told today, and the downsizing of the application, and the open space that will be established, and the, you know, I think it's fair to settle with everything that's been said
I just want to clarify, my indecision isn't because I don't know the merits of the case, but from my experience, there's two sides to every story. If I took everything that you said, absolute gospel, of course, there'd be no hesitation. But I really have to look at both sides, and that's, so I don't want to take my hesitation as not being prepared,
I clearly.
but there are some pointed questions I need to ask.
And that's fair, and what's also appropriate is, and this got blown out of proportion, you should sit with legal counsel outside of
Right.
work session to do this, and I don't mind, because you're here, we're gonna move it forward. But because Lisa and Bill are here, if the board wants to take a 5-minute break so it's fresh in your mind to talk to them, we could do that and then come back, not come back to discuss this, we'll come back to discuss the next thing. But I think since the council's here, it might be appropriate.
Are you getting paid right now?
Yes, she is.
How much time do I have to talk to her?
Take a
We're not
lesson
doing it as an
before-
executive session.
Quick.
But I think that's an appropriate use under the public officers law, legal advice. So if, Jim, do you want to do a 5-minute break, and if you want to do that 5 or 10-minute break, that you guys can have that conversation, and I guess we're going to move a stipulation forward. Okay, thank you. Tara, if you can, okay, I know you have a short period of time, so what are we doing? If we're on, but we're going to get started. If anybody sees Tara out there, we need to be turned off. We're gonna get started.
Where? Like nasty shit.
Tara, we're starting.
Okay, let me find out from Carol.
All right, what is this?
This is revisions to 108-132. Specifically, it started out as we just wanted to put in language requiring government searches for site plan applications.
Dominique Mendez had a revision.
Once we took a look at it, we thought it would be a good time to just redo that whole section because it was kind of been changed over the years and it didn't flow very well, and there's some other things that need to be added to. So this just sets out what has to be included in an application. I think it makes it a little bit easier for applicants to understand what the planning department looks for as well. The item you're concerned about is mostly 1E, which is report requirement. Last time we talked about it, the board had asked me to get input from Karen Booth and the planning department. Karen made some comments. I've incorporated them all into this draft, and Rick has looked at it, and Jeff's had a chance to look at it too.
So this works for you guys?
Yeah, it's ready to go to hearing.
You ready to go to hearing?
All right, that's quick, because I have to read it. I'm not going to read it right here.
I was gonna say.
You've read most of it. You've had it already. Just made one, a couple of very minor changes that Karen wanted that really don't change the substance of it. It was more just clarification, some data requirements, and the only other thing was we had made a phone call to the title company and asked them if they would put out how to do this and tried to incorporate. They have anything to do with the question whether it could be certified or not. So it's just a certification language out and just clarify what has to be in the title report, whether you change the title and recorded covenant declarations or something like easements.
We'll put it in for the packet for Tuesday. That way we have the opportunity to read it before. If there's a problem, just take a look.
Typically on a covenant, how far back can it go? That would still hold
Forever.
It could be forever. So we'd go back 30 years, it's typical.
It's whatever
Title
covenants
company
are-
does, yes.
As long as the lots existed, there would be covenants on it.
Right, that'll show.
Dominique has a question on her statute. Yes, Dominique?
Yes, quick question. Why wouldn't this be certified? Wouldn't it be better for it to be certified?
Well, the title companies don't certify it to the town. For what our research showed, they don't
Are they just
certify
not
a
something
title,
that
they'll
they do?
certify title, they don't certify their reports to the town. So it's not something that can happen. The applicant wouldn't be able to provide what we're asking for.
Okay. And what assurances would there be that, the applicant would be the one providing you the information? And I have seen covenants before that were missing certain things that were provided to the town, and they were missing certain parts of the covenants.
Well, it's a title, they have to provide us a title report done by a licensed title company,
Right.
and it would include all the covenants in it. And we could research, and if we have any question, we have the capability to double check and verify everything that they told us, that they provided.
And the title reports they're numbered by pages, and they refer to exhibits, and the exhibits refer to the covenants and restrictions, and you can tell if there's a page missing out of a covenant restriction, you know what I'm saying, so.
Okay,
All right.
thank you very much.
Let's move it on Tuesday. Sounds good.
Thank you.
What do we have, George? Yours?
Yes, we have the
You did good, Duffy, today.
Long Island Adventure Race.
Come on up, guys.
Guys patiently waited here since 9:30, but that's how government is.
We move like lightning.
Chris Witt, Bill Borges.
We're waiting so long.
That's it. Come back, we'll be back.
Like, wait.
Oh, wait.
Oh, okay.
So what are we looking at here? 5K, 5 to 10K run, 40-ish, inside EPCAL, inside the park. So I think you have some maps you're going to give out to us.
Yeah, I know. Don't you hate when that happens?
I think so.
You enjoyed it.
Good thing back, Cal,
Pressure over.
Can you incorporate jumping over cars and stuff?
Well, we were thinking about it.
They're in the menu.
Bungee.
the paper one.
Do you have the map?
The maps are in the back.
What you got in the back here?
Yeah? Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Give them a copy, please, thank you.
Very good.
And one more, down the end.
You have it?
You already have it? Okay, on the wall.
Okay, so the other one. Let's look at this map, showing the area we're looking for. Here's the cars. Here's on the ball fields.
This is to the rear of the road car, right?
Yeah, this is where the physical bar,
That's where it goes.
and just south of there.
Right on Line Road.
What's the end?
So you're looking to come through this area, and you're not cutting anything down, it's basic recreation.
Exactly, we're not looking to do anything that damages the environment. We're going to incorporate the natural contour of the landscape. Try to use everything that's already there. We do plan on a few obstacles possibly that we can build off-site, bring them in and take them away. Nothing to damage the environment long term. And that's, but the obstacles we plan, right?
The obstacle there, we're proposing to put mostly in this area, like maybe immediately south of where, you know, the picnic area used to be where the dog park is.
Right, okay.
And that's kind of like what we plan on having our starting and finishing line of festivities. So a lot of the traffic and the crowd area will be right in that vicinity.
It's like an obstacle course, more or less,
Exactly.
like an Ironman type thing, well, not really.
In conjunction.
Climbing walls, jumping from
Yeah, I'm a
line.
big guy.
With a run in the woods.
I
This
think
would
it's
just be right.
like
Yeah.
what they had on Sardinia last year.
Very similar to that.
That, very similar to that, correct?
It's like wipeout,
Yeah.
but with dirt.
Okay.
Exactly. We plan to be,
And you're gonna use the cleared portion of the park, next to Line Road. You know, when you get down to 25, on the right-hand side, Line Road runs all the way to 25, that's that
Well,
road.
this field here.
Yeah, that field there.
They may need this for parking, overflow parking, because you're looking at how many people coming possibly.
Oh, we're hoping up to 500. It could be more.
What's that noise?
Sorry. And I think that parking lot can accommodate around 200.
200.
So between our staffing and stuff, we're gonna need some overflow parking.
This here,
We used to cut that, we used to cut that grass.
the staging area here, then your trails.
Have you guys done anything like this before?
yes, I should have introduced myself, but I own a gymnastics school. We have about 1,000 people, and we do many events a year. We've done one 5K, didn't have to incorporate obstacles, but, you know, it's all the same once the event starts. We actually have an event this weekend, we're doing a gymnastics competition. A little bit more than what we're expecting here, but we have 1,000 gymnasts, probably about 4,000 or 5,000 spectators. That's what I do. I love to do events, I love to promote health activities, family-friendly things, and this is just one of the other things we want to move into.
Where's your gym?
It's right in Medford, on Station Road. I live out here in Riverhead. Station Road is, there's a shopping center, movie Tuesday,
Yep,
Stop and
yep.
Shop. Just south of there. We have,
Shop.
yep, TD range is our range there.
You live in Riverhead, you're local.
Yes,
So to speak. You live in Riverhead.
Yes.
Right, so that's on, what, 101?
We're just south of 101, exactly.
Huh?
We have a 20,000 square foot building there. And, very into the health and fitness side of it, and this just kind of lends to that. What we wanted to do, you mentioned the other event.
We got $3,200 an acre and less this morning.
We only need the time for a couple hours.
So you just want to run a couple events a year right now, just to,
We're proposing two. One in May and one in August.
One May 25th we were looking at, and one August 10th. Now the May 25th we were looking at, because it's a holiday weekend, and we're working with the Long Island Visitors Bureau, which their charge is to try to bring tourism to Long Island. And they were looking to partner with us, work with some of the local wineries and hotels. We would give them tickets, no sell packages, through their bureau, to help the Long Island family. And we prefer Riverhead because we live here, so that's why.
You said you have about 500 cars that you have to park, approximately. How many participants do you think you'll have?
Well, it's hard to say, I mean, we'd only be speculating, but we're hoping, you know, for 500,000, maybe more. But there's also going to be spectators that come in to watch friends and family participate. And we're going to try to put one obstacle area in the area that we spoke of, so that there's excitement and there's camaraderie, you know, with the friends and family and grandparents can come and watch. So we anticipate that more holidays, obviously, for participants.
Okay, and it's May 25th and October what?
May 25th and August 10th was what we were looking at. And what makes this event different, and to get to the parking issue, is, you know, we want to create a family fun kind of atmosphere. So we encourage the grandparents to come and whatnot, and having everything in one confined area, to be able to do it. Whereas a lot of these races, you don't see anybody. Once they go in the woods, they don't come out till the finish line. We want to run it through the spectators.
Is there a parking fee?
We're up in the air about that right now. We haven't done a finite budget only because we don't know what the costs are going to be with the staffing and whatnot. Once we had a firm deed, then we're going to back into the budget. Most of the events do have a parking fee. If we did do one, we would look to try to use the net profit for a local charity or organization. We want to kind of give back.
I like the youth bureau.
So, are you seeking sponsorships for this event? Is that where
We have
the-
some, yeah, we're also looking for some sponsorships. We have a few in line right now that we're talking with. Nothing firm because we don't have the dates and nobody really wants to spin their wheels or spend time and money until they know it's
It was a big investment to just move it off the ground.
But that's where the general revenue will be coming from, or you'll be charging an admission?
No, there won't be any admission for spectators, but there will be an entry fee for the racers.
Okay.
And the way an event works like this, the entry fee would look to cover the awards, the gift bags, or goodie bags, whatever you want to call them.
Right.
So everything that comes in will have a certain, you know, place to go. We're hoping to make our money on the sponsorship side.
I'm gonna have buildings.
As always.
Yeah, we're hoping to get rid of Riverhead Supply.
Wouldn't be going far from,
You'll be building them right at Riverhead Building Supply and then just bringing them over.
okay, the other thing, I know you said you had conversation with the fire department, the ambulance district, and how they would work into this?
Yeah, there was some question of like whose jurisdiction that exact property is, and I spoke with, right, Tony White, Chief White from Riverhead Fire District, expressed, you know, perfectly, you know, he's definitely willing. He said that I would prefer you, I'd want to buy the Waiting River Chief first.
I don't think it's in the Riverhead Fire District at all.
Not at all.
Not at all.
Wayman was in 500 foot.
It's Matterville and Waiting River.
Okay, so it's Matterville.
Riverhead
Yeah,
ambulance.
we're that down to the freshman.
Yeah.
We're gonna, obviously, maybe offer a donation to the fire district, in exchange for some of their help with parking and trafficking and stuff.
No, it's Riverhead.
So I think we do, honestly, since this is the first one you've done, I think I'd like to see your finite budget backed into before I would pass judgment on it, because I'd like to see you guys do a charitable donation to the Youth Bureau or PAL, not PAL or JAB or something like that would be, because if the town is going to be expending funds here and you're going to be, you know, it gets right back to the whole parking pay,
Well, something right.
Riverhead Blues Festival thing.
Not to interrupt, I apologize, but our whole goal was to be self-sufficient and not bear any like undue costs to the town. We were going to do all of the staffing, crowd control, obstacles, insurance, all that stuff is through us. You know,
Yeah, you're gonna have to do that anyway.
Right,
Well,
but
you're still gonna have,
when you said about in terms of the fee, like, we're willing to definitely, you know, we're not looking for this to be donated, we understand that there could be a fee with it. As I said, we've done events before, I've done events at the Jacob Javits Center, Wide World of Sports at Disney, so I've run large-scale events, much larger than this. So I feel that this will be, you know, a successful event, and we'll definitely.
But the last, and I have to go, the last event we had here that was supposed to be donations, right? They said they didn't make any money, so they couldn't donate to where they wanted to donate. And that was the air show that they had out here. That ended up as a fiasco. And they said they didn't make enough money to donate to anybody. Like you're saying, you know, that you give them the area, they charge for parking, and they still didn't make money. And I think our town attorney, weren't you supervisor at the time? No, the air show, no.
He prefers not to remember
And
that.
they didn't make
You
any
had
money.
to bring it up, huh?
So, crank it up.
Couldn't let it go.
That's it. No, but, so
It was
that's.
a great air show.
That-
It was a great air show. The other parts of it weren't so great, but the show was great.
Then, parking is all cash, and there's no one to check on how much money you got and that you didn't get. And I think that was, that really messed the town up
No, I understand.
on doing things like this. Let's say we're gonna give it to charities.
I have
That's
seen-
what goes wrong. Let's see if we
Huh?
get what goes right.
If you don't mind, if I can just, respond to that.
Right.
I totally understand, because I've seen that, and as a matter of fact, I was at the Stony Brook Children's Hospital for a tour of the children, they're building the children's hospital, helping with fundraising for that. And they've expressed the same thing, where people will use their name, do these big events, and then never kind of cut a check.
Right.
But I will say that I can give you reference upon reference of charities that we've donated to already with our events, to show that we're credible, and regardless of what happens, even there are times, I'll be honest, where it came out of our pocket to do it. I mean, we
We're
sponsor
okay with that.
we sponsor the Riverhead Aquarium does a 5K race. We sponsor now, the race for Ridley. I've run it and I sponsored it for the last 4 years. We sponsor a lot of local organizations in the Medford area, and we're looking to bring it out here. This event would, but I can definitely show you.
No, I understand.
Oh,
But it seems like every time something comes out to Riverhead, Riverhead always gets burnt, and that's with anything.
I live here. I plan on seeing you guys.
See?
Well, Chris wouldn't let that
So, I
happen
mean,
because his
you know.
livelihood.
Building's right
Oh,
there, so he's
yeah,
right on this.
This gentleman looks very familiar to me.
Well, you know his father very well.
See, so, I mean,
Who's that?
Yeah.
Walter Woods.
Oh, is it?
Building's-
Oh, that's why he looks familiar. Okay, look like his father. So anyway,
Yeah, we're not gonna use it as, a way just to line our pockets. Obviously, we're in business, we wanna make some money, and I won't.
Nothing wrong with that.
no, there's nothing wrong with that.
But, I feel like giving back.
I was gonna say, I think the
We
big
feel
thing
like
is
you're
to have
giving
a
back too.
successful race, and have people,
Yeah.
So can we back into some sort of budget so we know that you guys,
Well, I'm gonna
Yeah, 'cause
get
I
some-
think we
Well, I think we
discussed-
have budget numbers, I haven't put it down because I didn't know, certain events.
Kind of wants to.
But I think there should be one person from the town, just to make sure that it's done.
George.
It's not like it's done
come on,
anyway.
Come on, these guys now, we're every 2 weeks.
But I mean, I think, there and make sure that everything is
Should
on
we
the up
be
and up.
comfortable with
That's
giving
what
us
I feel.
percentage of
Well, absolutely, we can
gross,
definitely.
but maybe some nominal fee up front.
Right, I
Make
mean,
us
if
feel
you're more
comfortable,
comfortable.
donate, give me a number,
Right.
which we feel comfortable with, it could come out of your gross receipts or whatever.
We're also,
And we discussed that, we were good with that.
Yeah.
in addition to this, we're talking with the Parks and Rec department, because they have some land that we could use. Obviously, we wanted to stay up here and not do it, we're looking at Nassau.
I'm not looking for a fee up front.
No, but what I was saying is what they charge, is 600 per 1,000 people. And I haven't done an outside race with a town like this, so I don't know what the fee is. But we're more than happy if you'd rather a flat fee as opposed to a percentage, or, we're flexible.
I think there's a check.
I just want to see some sort of budget, and I think the town would like, I personally would direct it to be JAB or something like that.
Well, I'd go
Yeah,
with
well,
the youth program. But anyway,
Good girl, that's what.
that's what
Yeah, well, we have,
the problem is, I don't see, I'm not looking for a fee. What I'm looking for is just someone to be there, to say, okay, everything we're going up and up, and this, if you don't make any money, then there's no donation.
right.
But at least someone says, yeah, they didn't make any money.
That would be my,
Huh?
That's
I'll,
true.
I'll
be
put
your
myself on the line.
commitment. Okay.
And I will say, there's a lot of charities that I'm close with and that Chris is close with. I'm sure you all have your own, and everybody's thinking, oh, I'd love you to do this, this, and this. We can't do all of them. So
No, we
we'll
want
put
you
it
to
back
do
to
your own.
Well, you really should.
Well,
Yeah, no, the youth
Did you
program-
miss that?
No, I'm not saying we're not going to use that, but what I wanted to
Yeah,
say is
yeah,
that
you're right.
we will certainly provide a list of who we were looking
Yeah,
to do. It's not going to
yeah.
be one of those things where we're going to say, oh, we donated. We're not gonna know.
And of course,
we
we
can
can
look at
fire
it.
departments and the ambulance corps if they so help you guys out. You know what I'm talking about?
Now, the name of your corporate, Long Island Adventure Race, is that the event name?
That's the event name,
Is there a 501c3 attached to this?
not to this, no. And we probably wouldn't do the 501c3 just because of
Oh, the paper.
the fees and the
Yeah,
paperwork.
take
She's
it,
not
yeah,
working
yeah.
for 2 races. Obviously, the company, we have a corporation, the insurance, all that stuff.
Yep.
The only-
What's that
Well,
called?
it's going to be, we're going to reincorporate a new corporation for this. My current corporation, the one that the gymnastics school is under, is the LEM Corp. And, right now we have all of our insurance, business.
Now, I assume you want us to act pretty fast on this,
It
because
is
you
time
have to have a
sensitive.
lead time to set everything up.
Well, it needs a chapter 90, right?
Right, we would, the quicker we
It's
can
it's
get.
a chapter, sort of a hybrid chapter 90, because there's a lease involved in it, or license.
Yeah, well, plus we have to, yeah.
Very,
I'm talking
it's very
about
time
license. We have
sensitive.
to
We're
license
trying to get
so
this
they
up
can
2
use
weeks
the
ago, we can get on the agenda, because it's like.
We have to, launch a website, do some marketing,
Yeah.
that stuff takes time, so
So
obviously.
that's what you
Right.
need.
Yeah, it's definitely something before we.
Yeah, before you do a chapter 90, you have to have the lease agreement between us and you guys.
Bob, do we do a license agreement for something like this?
Yeah, I think that's what the mechanism would be.
All right, so I think the
Right, we have
board
this-
wants to move forward with
The only
something.
thing that I have a concern with is that the DEC only seems to be concerned with the grasslands at EPCAL, and we've undertaken a subdivision of the EPCAL property, and I don't want this to interfere with that. And seeing as you're proposing parking on grasslands, I want to make sure that the grasslands that you're proposing on parkland is
Well,
out
those-
of the
those-
concern of
those-
the, if I could
those-
just finish,
Okay. well,
is
just
out
gonna
of the
say this
concern
before.
of the DEC, so that we're not interrupting that process of getting the land subdivided, which I'm sure you can appreciate.
But those grasslands, we've been mowing for the soccer. We've mowed them a couple times already. That's part of our park.
Okay, I just
It's
want to
in
make
the-
sure that the
yes,
DEC
no,
is
I-
okay with it before we approve a chapter 90, because I don't want to get,
I don't know why they're going on park, but they may.
that's all.
Okay, well,
I think it's great, it'll fill up the hotels and fill
Well,
up the restaurants and bring people to town.
I don't
and-
know how fast the DEC is gonna operate.
Well, maybe you could just
What
write them a
business
letter
is it?
saying this is the
But I
area
mean,
where we're proposing a
It's
park.
just putting another level, you know,
And what we're proposing to them, with passive recreation is something that they
Yeah,
have worked with in the past.
yeah, hunting, it's just,
I
it's
don't
not.
think
This
there's
is
no
our-
problem
this
with
is
it,
our-
but I don't want to
Something's
give them a
private,
reason to
yeah,
come back
totally.
and say,
Oh, I understand, believe me, reading the papers and seeing.
I
think it's great.
as Riverhead residents, I think you can appreciate that, and being responsible.
You have a fat man's course? Something like to run around?
We actually hope all you guys.
Yeah, we were actually hoping you were.
I'll walk it.
I'm gonna
You
get
can
ready
walk
to
around
go,
the
and I'll do
obstacles,
mine.
I'm sure you can do
Well, it's more of a family.
All right, let's,
oriented, so.
everybody's talking at once. Let's, your job, George, is to meet with the town attorney and come up with a mechanism, a budget to bring back to the board as quickly as you can. And I think at least 2 board members like that one charity, what was that charity?
Youth
Just-
Bureau,
I know
Youth Bureau.
Guilt.
Believe me, the approval is not dependent on who you give money to.
Oh, no, I
But
The-
they do consider
we
we use
discussed
it
this
as a little bit, it's recreational, so.
That's
All right,
it.
so let's move forward. You guys are gonna have your homework cut out for you for the next couple days to try to put this together. And
Yep.
we're gonna have to make a chapter 90 application and get insurance and everything. I don't think you're gonna get on for the Tuesday board meeting, but the board meeting after, you should be able to.
You'll have it for the end.
By the end of the year.
But you've got to move
Yeah, it's
very
definitely
quick.
something.
So there's a lot of stuff you guys have to do that even qualify for the chapter 90, get insurance, get the license and things like that.
Bob,
I have the insurance already, so it's simply
Bob,
getting that.
you're off to work with these people and, George? Get things moving?
That's
probably-
Okay, thank you.
With regard to that parking area, so.
How many days are they gonna need to say?
You know what I would do? I would check with the supervisor and the deputy
How many
supervisor,
days?
Jill Lewis,
How
who
many
have
days
regular
would you
meetings
say?
with the DEC, just to say, we're proposing an event here, and it's going to be a one-day thing, temporary parking or whatever, that's what I would say. Just because we've invested a lot of money and a lot of time in this subdivision, and we really need to market these properties, otherwise we're running out of money. So I don't want to have anything interrupt that
I
process.
understand. That's better marketing than having all these people come and look at the beautiful site.
Yeah,
I was asked, how many days will you need this property?
The race is gonna be a one-day event,
Right.
and we
Set
need
up?
to, we'll need to go in probably,
Yeah, that's not spent, a couple days, we'll go a couple days after.
Yeah, I would say, if we could have access to
Week of.
organized.
5
trails in
days?
the woods, yeah, probably needed. Maybe the trail runs through the woods, we plan that over, maybe in 2 weeks.
Oh, 2
But
weeks,
that
10
would
days?
require us Just basically walking through the
yeah,
woods.
it's just,
but-
walking through.
Oh, that's what you want to know. Okay?
Do that now.
Well, I'm just trying to envision how long the license agreement would be for.
Yeah.
How many days for setup, how many days for taking
You
it
guys can
down.
figure that out.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not a
And
big
you have a map, somebody has a
Yeah,
map?
we do.
Yes, showing the trails and everything, yeah.
And
Yeah,
and-
George
and the
has
ent- and the entity that would be entering into the license agreement, we have that information?
We'll provide that to you.
Okay.
So we can get on this,
So as soon as you get going with that,
you think we could set something up,
okay.
I'm around.
All right,
Good luck.
Sounds
So,
good.
I think
contractors are more, everybody more.
We need to take control of that land.
Let's see which one.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
I got you.
Take care.
That's it, see?
All right, Dave, Chief Miller, Integrated Wireless Technologies.
Wireless technology.
Thank you. Good luck. Nice meeting you.
Police watch?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
No, yes, right.
Back in line.
Yeah, where'd they go?
I know, so Sean Walter.
Bill Shiloh, how you doing? Pleased to meet you.
How are you?
Hi, how are you?
No, John Dummy.
Billy, how are you? Johnny, good to see you. Nice seeing you, sir.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, Tom.
So what's the situation?
Okay, so many years ago, we had a VHF system, that was our radio system. Probably 15 years ago, or so.
Remember well.
And then we switched over to 800 megahertz radio, which is the county frequency county system. That's what the people went on. Back then, VHF then fell to accounting for some reason. And accounting oversaw it for the other departments that still use it. It is now in total disrepair. However, we're facing a deadline January 1st where it's got to be narrow banded, or we're going to be fine after that point.
Yeah, the FCC made a ruling that said, you know, they want to make better use of all the frequencies that are available to people, so they basically cut them all in half. So January 1st is the deadline for those filings to cut those frequencies in half. And you have a great asset in that VHF channel, but you're really kind of between a rock and a hard place now. You'd have to give it up, or you're going to have to relicense it and spend the money to make it compliant.
It's more like a rotary phone, isn't it? Really, in today's market?
No, actually, channels, Riverhead's one of the few towns that hasn't done something with that asset. You know, most of the towns have like an ancillary radio system that uses one as a backup for law enforcement, and also to eliminate things like cell phone charges and vehicle location charges, because with a private radio channel, you can basically, you know, on a municipal lease, invest in that channel and use that for all those other purposes instead of paying monthly charges.
What's your recommendation? Or what should we do?
I don't think we should lose the VHF frequency.
Where is it used now? Nowhere.
Well, I don't really
Doesn't
know.
the
It's
highway
not in the police
Well, I think they
department.
just only did
And
that.
the fire department switched over to.
They're all on UHF.
Right?
Right. But the channel is still there, and there are portables and rack chargers that can be used as an emergency, but the system has fallen into a state of disrepair over time. And since we are going to have to make some equipment changes, you know, our first step would be to do an audit.
How did we find you guys?
Well, we've been doing the town's radio systems for over a decade. We used to be Eastern Long Island Electronics.
I was going to say, Eastern Long Island did all our stuff.
I was Eastern Long Island Electronics.
Oh,
That's
were you?
my-
Okay.
Right. And then through some mergers and acquisitions, we now represent Motorola's largest subcontractor.
Well, you
And-
changed us all over to 800s, didn't you?
Yeah, we did all the 800 work.
Yeah.
And we still maintain, you know, the majority of the radios, we maintain the county's radio systems.
Because the police doesn't use VHF now, maybe the
Only
police
this
both
Plan
does.
B, right.
Is
In
this
the
something that
event-
Dennis Kenter was talking about?
Dennis was talking about right now again.
Years ago, you had a nice mechanic, he used to service us.
Oh, we've had a couple guys.
Years, I'm going
Years
back,
and years
I'm
ago.
going back 20 years ago.
20 years.
At least.
Yeah.
Bill?
Huh? At least 20 years.
There's no one here who's gonna do it.
Did you guys do this for Southwold too?
Yes, we're doing Southold, Southampton, East Hampton,
Southampton's
Smithtown, Islip.
My name's, I missed introductions, Adrian's, I'm with Integrated, I work for Bill. We are putting the final touches on the town of Southampton. They have a significantly larger system to tackle. So they're near completion with the last 8 channels on their 4-site simulcast system. Southwold will be doing their system here in December. They only have their single VHF channel to tackle. So we're taking care of that with Chief Flatley this month. So those 2 townships in the town of East Hampton are also.
And they're all keeping their VHF.
They're all preserving it.
Southampton, that's their primary.
That's their primary, they never went to
Southwold.
800.
For police.
And East Hampton owns their own. I don't know.
Why don't we have problems with VHF, I suppose? It's, you know, they've got upgraded to 800s, but I'm just wondering, with Riverhead utilize, I mean, to put an investment to,
Well, that's kind of the
update it,
discussions
upgrade it.
that we've had with the police department as we approach this. And we have been working continuously with the police department to update the license. The license, I believe, has been filed or requested for narrowbanding. Now it's just the equipment to take care of. And the questions that have come up is in the past, when the PD left it, it was the Senior Center Transportation Division,
Right.
the Meals on Wheels
it wouldn't
building.
be that console loading.
You know, they migrated to that system, and I believe since have moved to other systems. But the question that we've been raising is, what is the cost of those alternatives, whether it's cell phone, does the town incur a significant Nextel bill, which that system is gonna be turned off next year?
I think what we have with the old radio, the radios are probably all over the place.
I know I have some of them, but don't ask me the rest.
So I think the question is, what's it gonna cost? And I mentioned Dennis Kenter because
I think
he
the order
did
is
help
probably where to go.
negotiate Southold's deal with, I guess, you guys, some, you know, I guess we could say.
We QC the project, I mean, is a better way to put it.
Right.
I mean, we are Southwell's primary vendor. They brought him on as a second opinion.
I just
to
know that
checks and
it
balances.
cost, he was able to reduce Southold's costs significantly from what I hear through Southold.
He has it.
No,
The proposed project is the exact dollar amount that it's moving forward at, but.
And what's it costing Southold to redo it?
They're putting up the project that we've been working on with them is a new UHF townwide channel. That single site townwide UHF channel is proposed at approximately $68,000. That's new infrastructure, new install. What we
There goes those
proposed-
cop cars.
Well, what we proposed for the town of Riverhead has to be a phased approach. The first thing we need to do is make sure you don't incur a fee, which means narrowbanding what is capable of being narrowbanded. Which there's significant radios out there on the system that can be turned to the narrowband and more efficient.
It's just programming.
And do an audit at the same time and report what equipment cannot be narrowbanded. That's an approximately $3,000 expense. To make you FCC compliant before the deadline and give you an idea of what it's gonna take to at least have a backup system for the PD. We would like to see some kind of consideration of what your expenses are in cell phone, Nextel, vehicle location through the highway, and see if we can shed that reoccurring expense by some.
GPS?
With the technology that are available today from Motorola and other vendors, you make it a digital system. Now not only can it carry voice, but you can have all kinds of data. You can have GPS locations, which the highway is using, but they're paying per vehicle for cellular carrier to active vehicles. So you can have that. You could have that on a own system, but you could also implement plow up, plow down, door open, door closed. You can know exactly what's going on.
Door falls off, plow falls off.
Can I just ask one question? You can answer me this. Do we have any communications problem in Wade River, on the beach, or where the cliffs are?
Yeah, you always have a
Right, we always have a problem there, right?
Can't live with that.
All right, that's one question. The other question is, and we have repeaters to help us out up there.
We used to have a repeater up at Little Flower.
Right.
We used to have a tap computer in Little Flower, and has since, what happened to the
It
oil?
hasn't been used, that's
We
one of
don't
the
have
phone lines
repeater.
that
We don't have
was
repeater
eliminated,
now.
that we were paying
Okay,
$500 a
will
month
this
for.
help us clarify that position of communications in Wading River?
If there was a larger incident down on the beaches or in Wading River, it may be an option for the officer to grab the VHF portable out of the vehicle instead of relying on the 800 system. So if there were a large enough incident where there was going to be a communication change, we could provide better coverage on the seashore with the VHF system than the county can provide with the 800 system.
Part of what we might recommend, because you
And
mentioned.
your audit would reveal that.
Sure. Part of what you mentioned was $500 for a phone line.
Yeah.
Now, that sounds like a lot of money, but if a policeman can't get into the radio system, that $500 really isn't a lot of money.
No, I know that.
But the good news is that given where technology is today, you don't need phone lines, because you can actually hang a little panel antenna in each site and basically use a radio system to replace the phone lines. You don't have to pay the $500. It's all part of, if you lay on capital, or if you go, better yet, you go with a municipal lease, which basically means you don't pay for it for a year. You don't need things like long-term phone contracts with companies. You don't need cell phones, you don't need Nextels, and you get to use your own private radio system.
Will this audit tell us those options?
Yes.
Okay.
$3,000, they'll tell us what they can do to make sure that we have better radio communication
And make us
throughout the town.
compliant.
And also make you compliant.
Well, I'm looking at Wademan, because that's a tough area with the cliffs.
I live,
And-
I'm a Riverhead resident, I live up over here, so I know
Okay,
exactly
so
what
you
you're
know, huh? You know the problems that
Sure.
Wade River has, that
Yeah, that's cell phone
Woodland
service.
Well, this is-
or Jamesport doesn't have.
Right.
See?
This really isn't being proposed for that purpose. I mean, although it may be a better system in an emergency situation,
Well, that's,
this is an older system that you have to keep the license up on. You
The
have to,
issue,
you
right,
have to come
exactly.
into compliance with
Today's
new
the license.
regulations that have just been put in place.
Right.
My only question is it worth it? I guess the audit will show that. Is it worth us updating an antiquated system that, well, I mean, you fix them, so obviously you're not the person to ask, but is it worth the investment to really update and to bring into modern day and
I think
antiquated
that's a
system?
question that our audit can't answer, because the town has to do an evaluation of its communications expense.
Right.
It has to reel in the cost of what Highways AVL system is costing. It has to find out what the Senior System Transportation Division is using for their communications today, and what does that cost? How many cell phones per month
Right,
per
well,
cell
that's
phone is the
important to
town
look at.
paying? So
I
we
mean-
can evaluate the system, we can tell you what its current capabilities are, what its short-term communication capabilities are, and what it could evolve into.
Well, I think
You
it's
guys
important
have
to
to
look
look
at,
at your return on
right, that we all can, right, condense it and figure
And
out.
I can
that-
tell you, other towns are in the process of projects right now where they're doing just that. They're eliminating a lot of monthly costs with carriers by using
Well,
their
there's probably a lot
own
of
radios.
duplicative services, I'm sure.
but we would have to get another outfit to do that survey. He only can do one survey.
As far
He
as
can't-
your
the
communications.
six-
We
Yes,
can figure
yes.
that out in-house.
That's typically done by an in-house, most of the towns, there's like, I use the term with Dave, there's a radio czar. It's usually in either emergency management or law enforcement, because they're the ones that will use the system as
Right.
backup anyway.
You're looking at both,
Yeah,
right
but
there.
but that person is kind of the go-to guy for, okay, well, how many cell phones do you have, and how many Nextel accounts do you have, and what do you spend monthly on ADL?
Well,
So-
that's a lot of work to put that.
You have to round it up there.
Well, really, Tara, do all our bus drivers have town cell phones? Is that how they're communicating?
Bus drivers?
Yeah,
Buses have radios.
but they
Cell
have cell
phones.
phones. They're using cell phones, so that's $45 a
Well,
month.
plus there's radios in the buses
But I don't
too.
But they stay, yeah, it stays.
The old police VHS radios.
I don't think they've used it in a while, that's what we've
No,
got to
they
find
can't
out,
hear.
is that,
So-
They can't hear them.
well, because the system,
They
I don't
can't.
know,
So they're using cell
went
phones.
into a
at
state of
$45
disrepair,
a
they
month.
can't use it pretty much.
It's true.
About
It's an
100
old-
cell phones
old rotary
now,
phone.
Probably.
Right.
So that's $4,500 a month in cell phone service?
I would have to double check with Melissa.
Right, so that's something that all has to be looked at.
Yeah.
I know that, one town
And that's
We talked
specifically,
about this in
They said
2010 when it
we
first
did
came
it
in.
all
Well, we have cut back on a
And
lot.
they say, chief, that's done in-house
Unnecessary phones.
by you.
Right.
Okay.
I have,
Okay.
I never wanted to lose it. It was
Okay.
taken away from me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we talked about it in 2010, and it only took 3 years to get there.
Okay.
As the consideration is presented to preserve the system and to abandon it, there may be the potential for 911 money, that's been something that's been explored, that might help fund this. The other thing that I want to put out there for consideration is if there's a larger project undertaken with municipal leasing that's available through Motorola and other financing entities, you would never have to incur an expense before the system was accepted. So you would essentially be installing, implementing, and accepting the system, and at the point where you stop paying for those safe cell phones, or stop paying for AVL, you can now funnel that funds to pay that lease payment back.
Well, I want to ask you a question, I want to ask you, chief, he's sitting here. A lot of our police cars and policemen, or police person, because we have females, police person, use cell phones to communicate with community headquarters, because a lot of stuff that cannot go over the air, like juveniles' names and that stuff, so they may still use the cell phones for communications between, that cannot go over the airways on a radio system. Am I correct at that?
We
Okay,
appreciate,
so I'm correct, yes.
we appreciate that there are going to be individuals within the town who will never lose their cell phone. The chief would never give up his cell phone. But
You'd wanna know.
with the systems and technologies that we could propose, there could be, that VHF asset could be digital and encrypted in nature so that it couldn't be listened to over the air with the scanner. So, I see both sides of it, but I appreciate that there are gonna be individuals within the town that will never give up their cell phone. They need to be able to call, a complaint in back,
What would
whatever
today's
it
Civility
is.
do if we
Now,
encrypted the signals over the scanners?
Well, the thing is, I think you're right. I think we have to look at what we have,
Programs.
all the different programs we have, see if we can condense it down to something that makes sense. I mean, an audit's called for, I see.
But I want to ask you a question now, because you used the word, and I'm not a radio person, so I don't know. When you said it can be encrypted, are you saying that in the police car, they flip a switch and it would be go encrypted, or what are you saying there?
Encryption is a very basic term that means that at headquarters, we have the key, and at the car, they have the key, and without that key at both ends, it's garbage.
Okay.
So, I mean, going back to like
So
the
he
old
was having to
movies
flip a switch then?
with cracking the card.
Yeah.
If the car don't have the card to crack, to have
Yeah.
that code, the decryption code, and headquarters doesn't have it, the communication's intangible.
Many law enforcement agencies run full-time encryption now.
Yes,
Right,
so you would let
Wasn't
us,
the 800? I was looking
you
for
would let us know that too.
All right, what's the cost to the audit, and then I
Okay.
guess we have to do it.
3,000, right?
Yeah, you said three.
And this comes under, I would assume, professional services,
Right, right.
I'm assuming, I have no idea.
You have a budget line for that, chief?
They got 5 weeks, 4 weeks.
Yeah, it's, budget kind of close.
All right, well, let's get a chief, you gotta work with the town attorney, he probably does come under professional services. And it's also, may come under the amount,
Well, you
where
better
it's
have that.
competitive bidding, and so let's get a resolution for Tuesday and move forward.
Uh,
All right. Thank
So we
you.
have to jump right out of it.
Yeah. Tuesday.
Do you remember his name? You can try.
All right, guys, thank you very much, sorry for making you wait.
No problem.
Oh, that's the.
Time well spent.
Take care.
I'm a Riverhead resident, so and it's working right. Right around the corner from, Mr. Hammond lives now.
Yeah, it's still my office.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, that's good.
I think I'm coming back, but I don't know, so.
We got you all.
Okay.
Jump right on.
Call and, feel free to ask questions.
Okay.
All right, my question is, nothing. Went over on that.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right.
Sean,
What do we have?
do you want to do Michael and Bill, because Ken's running around, I don't know where he is.
Yep.
Okay. You want to go? Michael, do you want to go?
Mike and Mr. Reichel and Mr. Rotha. Hello.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
How are you today?
So far, so good. It's early.
You haven't encountered her
Bill,
since.
how are you?
Good morning. It's always early. All right. What we're proposing to do is during the budgeting process for Scott Wayne and Bill and I sat down, figured out what we needed for 2013, and looking towards the future of what would be necessary for capital improvements to the treatment plant if something was to break down. Right now, we're probably not prepared for a major breakdown.
And it will never happen.
Nobody is.
Will never happen.
Major breakdown, because you run the plant.
But we'll do the best we can. We want to stay ahead of the curve, and we're planning
It's a little
for,
full now, so.
if there was, if there's capital improvement that had to be made, we would be prepared for it. So what we're proposing to do is increase the tipping fee, scavenger waste plant, and what that would do is fund the 2013 budget, which it's supposed to do, and it would also leave some money left over
Into reserve.
into reserve for capital improvements. And these would, grow over the years so that you have a major breakdown, you have the money to pay for it, instead of going out and bonding and putting that in debt
What percentages you're talking?
on the town, and then, paying off the bonds over the years.
you have the money already.
Especially since, what, 75% of the scavenger waste tipping fee comes from out of town, is that roughly it?
More than that.
More than that, 80%.
And right now, the fees are not substantiating the cost of running the plan, am I correct?
Right.
Well, it must be,
But
if we're,
it's-
if
it's-
it's
pretty much.
I had a meeting with Michael the other day, he said that the fees that we're collecting are not covering the cost of the plan.
Just to let everybody know, this is not taxpayer funded. So the taxpayers in town of Riverhead have nothing to do with scavenger waste for funding. Only funding they get is the tipping fee. And like we said, 80% of that tipping fee comes from either Southold or Southampton, and there's a minor portion from Islip and the East Hampton and the other towns.
Huntington?
Yes.
Why would somebody from
Huh?
Huntington bring something here?
Because if a truck has a load on it from Huntington and gets a call out here towards the east end, it's easier for him to bring it out here, dump it, instead of going all the way to Bergen Point.
Can they make
So
any
that
money
way-
coming from Huntington to?
Yeah, this company's go all over.
well, there's money in it.
Well, that's like, we were talking a few years ago, that if we raise our tipping fee too high, then Southampton will take it to Bergen Point at a cheaper rate. So there is competition among scavenger waste, among the plants that take it. But I think that and I agree with you, you need a reserve for updates, and this is the way to get it.
What are you taking the tipping fee from and to?
Yeah, right, what's the percentages we're talking?
Currently, we're talking thousands. It's $92 per thousand
Okay.
to dump, and we're proposing to increase that to $99 per thousand. So it's going 99.999, just like at the
Per
gas.
1,000 gallons?
Per thousand gallons, right. So it's .092 cents per gallon, and we're proposing to change it
To
to
$99.
So it's $10 a gallon,
Right. No, it's $99 per gallon.
well, I'm rounding.
It,
Right, $9.90 a gallon.
Increases that bill.
And we can't give a
That's
Riverhead
10.
taxpayer a break.
Wait,
Now, Riverhead Town residents, because of our agreement with Southampton Town, that they will be charged the same as our our residents are charged.
That's right.
So
Whether the
we
local
all have to
from
charge
Riverhead,
the same.
Southampton has to be.
Yeah, we all have to, so it's just, we need to charge everybody the same fee.
Right, and it makes it self-supporting. If,
how's that compared to Bergen Point?
Bergen Point, it puts us higher than Bergen Point, which we're still higher than Bergen Point anyway. They're around
You're
60.
at 92, yeah?
Yeah, they're at $62 a thousand. We're at $92 a thousand, and the reason for that is because they're subsidized by the 4% sales tax
All right.
that's collected.
We're working on
Is that countywide?
Sure. And the county
We're
legislators
paying-
decide where the money goes.
We're
Bergen
paying,
Point's
we're
working on
paying
that.
for Bergen Point.
Yes, we are.
What's the county,
Well, I don't think that's
Whoever
fair.
purchases an item, yes, is subsidized in
Yeah, I don't
Bergen
think
Point
that's-
and the Southwest Sewer District.
Yeah, I don't think
Which
that's
is
fair.
owned by the county.
They don't
Gee,
give
the
it.
county shortchanges the east end? That's
That's
unheard
right.
of. I thought that was unheard of.
So, Michael, I had discussed you were gonna raise the fees across the board and then maybe a discount to Riverhead residents.
Can't do
You
that.
can't do that.
Can't do that.
We did finally discount when we came in office in
You're charging the
2010.
same, you're just discounting.
In 2010, we came in and we eliminated the
The tax.
taxes on
Yeah.
it. And there's, what John was saying before, is there's a legal document that precludes us from charging a different amount than Southampton.
Well, I'm saying you would charge the same,
Right.
but you would just offer discounts to Riverhead residents.
You couldn't do that, that's what John was saying.
Right.
Why, it says in the agreement, you have to charge the same and you can't
You have
offer
to charge the
discounts?
same, yeah, that's what
No,
that
you are
agreement
charging the
says.
same.
I think it's a poor agreement, and I don't know.
Well, how do you know it's
what
actually
town-
coming from Riverhead resident? I mean, you've got a truck that
You have
does
to-
3 or 4 houses.
Right.
All right, I got one from Flanders and 2 from Jamesport, so how do
They
you?
gotta have a license
They
or a
require us to turn in an
registration.
origin waste sheet that says where the loads came from. If there's
Right.
multiple
Yeah.
loads on there, they have to have multiple
Yeah.
tickets. where it came from. But if the guy, if it comes from Flanders, he thinks it's Riverhead. So, well, they can put any address on there that they want. They're gonna take their word on it.
All right.
So it's fair and consistent.
The $99, what does it cost you per thousand to operate the plant? In other words, what part of this is
Well,
going to
What we
capital
did is,
reserve?
we calculated it two different ways. One way is, the gallons have gone up over the last 3 years. East Hampton, am I correct, is that one?
Went down last year.
East Hampton closed.
So it went down, but from 2008, it's been up, okay? So if you look at the gallons, what we've tried to do is project the gallons next year based on 11, 10, and 9, because those are the years we have.
They're pretty consistent, actually.
So, 9,600,000 in the first 8 months of 2012, that's what I mean why it's going up. So where do we sit the gallons for the year? What are we projecting for 2013? If we take the average, we need to go to 94 cents just to cover our costs.
2013.
In 2013. If we go based on 2009, we need to move it to $1.01. Okay? So what we decided to do is if we take the average, it's 94, but to add 65,000 to the capital reserve brings us up to 99. That's also considering Michael's understanding of when will they start going the other way, like what is the point, and that's where he said 0.99, psychologically move it to $1 or 10, whatever it may be, and make them think to go the other way. We do this and put it up to 0.99, we'll have to see where the gallons go from there before we can make a decision on do we stay at 0.99 after next year.
But it's a two-system plant, so if the gallonage goes down, you're going to shut one set of discs off.
Right, you save some electrical costs in that because you don't have to treat as much water coming in.
And the maintenance on the...
Right. It's not the whole half of the plant shut down. That doesn't mean you cut your budget in half, you still have your fixed costs.
Well, if it's close on 94 cents, you're only taking in 92 cents, then there's something wrong there.
Right.
Right, based on, like Bill said, the past from 2009 to present.
But it looks like the affluent's gonna go down because people aren't eating anymore, they can't afford food.
See, can I ask you a question?
It's the reserve.
How come
So you're looking at a
from
5%
2005,
an 8% increase, 5%.
Yes.
Goes into reserve.
gallons were 1,098,000, and we're down to 793,000?
Economy has a lot to play in that. When a Carter starts pumping from the same place, often wherever they're pumping from says, I need to do something else. And they also install extra leaching systems so they don't have to be pumped as often. When the economy's not doing so well, people don't go out to dinner as often, they don't go to the restaurants as go to the hotels, things like that, go shopping. So you do see, pull the trickle down effect.
That's it, okay.
And this is part of that.
Okay.
So, right now, there's no treatment plant in Southold. All the waste from Southold comes here. All the waste from Southampton comes here. And East Hampton has closed their plant except for about 10,000 gallons a day they're taking in. And they're using that as a transfer station. But the remainder is coming to us, which is pretty substantial.
You almost
Yeah.
came right under your permit limits this summer.
On a couple of days, yes.
So increasing the fees and decreasing the amount slightly is not a bad thing.
Can I ask you, where does Tanker take it? I see a big tanker truck, a tanker.
He's pumping the grease from the grease traps from all those restaurants that are up there, and they're hauling that out. They're not bringing it to us.
They're not bringing it. We can't go.
No, we can't take the grease.
What about the waste from the big hill on 58? Well, they're not in the sewer district.
Who's that?
Tanger, not in the sewer district.
Tanger 2 is in the sewer district.
Yeah, but
so
Tanger
one
will-
connected.
Tanger not one is.
A portion of Tanger 1 is connected to the
Right, so where do they bring the waste here or divert it?
Yeah, I don't know when they have the septic tanks pumped, I don't know where they
That's
come
one.
from. Right,
Okay, that's what I'm talking
right.
about.
And I don't know how often they have it done either.
I see tanker truck.
Well, how do you do that now? You have separate fees now, although it's from Riverhead.
No,
It might
that's why
not be
we're
Riverhead, it might be some outsiders coming in.
So we have
Very
keep
hard
one
to
fee.
track.
Right.
Separate.
Yeah, they have all these big gas tanker trucks that pull up there.
Okay, I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Okay.
Yeah, well, this is what, we envisioned doing this when we eliminated the
tax.
tax on the residents. And residents were really subsidizing, our Riverhead residents were subsidizing East Hampton,
And
South
Southampton.
That's not good.
Southampton, right.
These
So
those are very similar.
if this ends up pushing more gallons to the west end, and we end up seeing less gallonage, one of two things has to happen. We need to, again, increase the fee to more from what it is now, to cover that shortfall expense, which will then push more gallons out, or consider shutting down the plant.
And you know what the interesting part is? As Wayne Horsley said,
I think we know
a
where we're
recent
at.
critic of mine, all that scavenger waste goes past my house. So since Wayne Horsley is the sewer maven for the county, as more scavenger waste goes past his house, he might think more keenly about giving us some stabilization funds, which we get a very small amount at this point.
Well, the scavenger waste plan doesn't see any of it.
None of it.
No. The Riverhead Sewer
No,
District
but
is a separate district, does see a
That's
portion
right.
of it.
Well, I think
Small,
at
but-
that tax, not the tax, but at the sales tax, they should give a portion of it to the plants on the east.
Right, yeah,
Yeah,
right.
I think that's something we should push for.
That's an argument we make every January at the legislature. I think I've been there every year trying to push for that better distribution of that sales tax, and it falls
Look
under
at the sales tax that goes into.
That's why we need somebody on the legislature that's gonna really push that through.
Who would that be?
That's a whole separate issue.
All right, thank you guys, so you're gonna prepare, this is done by resolution, not local law?
Yeah, done by resolution.
You want to do it for January
No public
1st?
hearing. I'd like to do it for the first meeting in December and make it,
Fight for January
make
1.
it effective January.
Yeah, that's fine.
This way, we give the cars a heads up, so that they can tell their customers that on a regular basis that.
It's
you know,
expensive, when I have mine pumped out, it's not cheap to have it pumped out.
It's not cheap,
it's not.
but it lasts for what, 10, 15 years
Mine
sometimes?
went 22 years.
Yeah, right, so,
Yeah, but yours might be going west.
that's why you don't feed your kids.
No,
Well,
Clifford
tell
did
me where the
mine.
car is from, huh?
How's he doing? Mr. Old Man Clifford.
Oh, yeah,
He could smell a sewer line.
he could.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Very good.
One more thing, please. What,
Uh-oh.
Thanks,
Maurie's
Bill.
not here today,
okay,
so we were gonna hold off and maybe discuss that next Thursday.
okay, cool. Fine.
I did read that.
What is it? It's a proposal to do an RFP for usage of the McDermott Street house that the sewer district took over.
Oh, okay.
Because
Did you give me a copy?
several
Do I have a
different-
copy of my inbox?
Those-
I sent it to the board
You-
members,
you-
and you responded.
You brought this up.
Yeah, I didn't know what it was. You sent an email, but I didn't know what it was.
It's just,
Oh,
you just,
okay.
it's
Yeah.
not
You're gonna make
But
justice.
you brought this up, and I,
This is a,
I didn't look at it.
but I think
Okay,
we are the Riverhead Town Board. And if anybody uses this, the Riverhead High School should have an opportunity for their road club. Yeah, everybody, you're right. It could be from Huntington, it could be from East Hampton,
Absolutely.
but this is Riverhead, they need a spot. And I
Yeah,
think we should bend for Riverhead and not worry about what Huntington's doing or what Southampton's doing or East Hampton.
What we're gonna do is we're
We
going
should
to,
worry about Riverhead
we're gonna,
and say, listen,
right.
can we help you out? How can we help you
I
out?
think that's what the RFP will
this
do,
is
right?
also, John, part of the urban,
We're looking for what you
John?
might want.
What?
this is part of the urban renewal plan to where we can put it out for an RFP to have the building occupied, so part of urban renewal is bringing people to downtown Riverhead, and so that's why it's
Yeah.
open up to other
But
townships, because
I'm not thinking about making money out of this.
it's not
I'm
making
thinking
money.
of us donating something to rowing club and
I
so
know
they
anything
can,
about it, so.
they can use it.
Look,
That's
All
where I'm
right,
coming
thank
from.
you.
This opens it up for anyone.
That's what I'm
And then you guys can
getting
pick and choose
Well, that's what
whichever you
I'm
think
getting
project fits the best with
But-
the urban renewal
Yeah.
plan.
And it's just temporary anyway, till it's anyway, so it's a
Right.
short
Yeah.
term, it's just.
That's right.
All right,
And
thanks,
in,
Mike.
and in there,
Thank you.
it's 60 days, that the sewer district can terminate the license agreement within 60 days if they need to use it to upgrade the plant.
Okay,
But I think you should put a ten
Test it.
operated equipment,
Come on up.
99 cents a flush.
You remember that when I was a kid, you used to have to put quarters in
Yeah, I remember that,
the John,
A dime to get in.
dime,
A
yeah,
dime to
probably
get into
that.
the. That's right.
That became illegal.
Armory.
Homer, yes.
How we doing, sir?
Okay, how are you?
Good, could be
What can
better.
we help you with?
Where are we?
RFP.
Yes, where are we with?
The only thing I have the base plate done for it, the only thing I really need to know is what I'm going to look at for potential use. We're looking at Justice Court and police.
Justice Court and police.
You want to look at the feasibility of adding.
I think we should look at the feasibility of providing some office space for ambulance, that's what they had said to us, I think. What did they say, they're looking for office space?
They're looking for an office space.
And you might want to look at all three options, because if ultimately you do end up building an ambulance garage, it might be cheaper to just do it, maybe shell it out or something, that it takes in the future.
Well,
A lot of room there.
we have to do it for police and the
I think
courts.
they're
That
looking
has
for
to be
space
done.
to, you know, when they have
The
to do their
ambulance
overnights, they're
is a,
24-hour, they need space
It's
to
a
sleep,
thought,
is what
It's
they
try
had
to
said to me.
satisfy,
missed you.
the ambulance and for office space. But we really have to look at the police department and the court system. That's the major.
So how long is it gonna take to get the RFP? Let's do all three, let's do
Yeah, I'm just trying to
predominantly,
think, was the ambulance we need office space?
because I think they're sleeping in their,
That's the
in their,
problem.
they need a place to bunk.
Be cheaper to throw a service on there.
And it shouldn't be, I mean, the first phase of the project's gonna be just conceptual layouts. You'll get a study, which will basically tell you, here's what your options are.
I was gonna say, it's not infinite, there's a finite area, so I.
Yeah, but we're gonna look at potentially adding on more space and what that costs us. I know. Well, you have to look at it because maybe it'll be a multi-phase.
Well, we have a police spot before we moved into it, so you're right.
That's what we, well, we have a lot of property there. So you could add something on.
Unfortunately, the spacing in the should be really difficult.
It is.
And it's all concrete, you know, which is like.
But the answer,
This is police and ambulance,
In a conceptually, so
Okay.
you'll get a Chinese menu of.
but you're not talking about barracks, you're talking about an office, you're not talking about
Well-
barracks, sleeping.
no, here's the problem with the ambulance. The ambulance corps has a living room, has a kitchen, and an office up at the barn. What they wanna do, and this is what, is have a sleeping quarters. So they have to move their office out and make that a sleeping quarters, so people can sleep there, so the office could go, so they don't wanna move too far, because they wanna be close to the ambulance, in case.
I thought they were also out of vehicle space, and we had.
Well, they're out of vehicles, they still have 3 vehicles in there, and I think
And
that's
one
what.
outside, that's the
And
problem.
what they want to add on, they want the first responder vehicle undercover, but you can't put the first responder vehicle over there, because that has to stay at their, barn. You may be able to put an ambulance over there for storage, for a 3rd ambulance, if they need it, they can go over there and get it, but it can't be a first responder ambulance, and we have 2 that have to be first responder ambulances.
Okay, so what I'll do is put in the RFP that whoever we hire is gonna need to meet with the ambulance corps.
Right.
And
Right.
kind of come up with some ideas. I mean, a lot of that work is done already, because we've already done a study of what the ambulance
Yeah,
corps feels needs are.
H2M did a study, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
you know, of course, it's pretty elaborate, but the information of the long-term needs is there, so they shouldn't have to reinvent the wheel. And that is also true of the police and court complex. We've already paid for a study of what their current future needs are.
So H2M may wind up with the RFP
Well, they may-
award anyway, because they've got a leg up on everybody, but.
They
it
may,
is
but
what
we'll
it is.
write it, you know, we'll write it openly and competitively
Right.
and see how the numbers come in. The only other question I have there is, do you want to include in it any analysis of reuse of the existing building, or are we just going to assume?
Over here?
Yeah, are we going to look at, well, I mean, I think you've already decided.
I think
you
you're
want
gonna
justice.
bring-
He wants to bring,
The goal is to bring you guys back
over here.
over to here, so that's probably a good idea.
So, yeah, I just didn't know if you wanted that to be in the same RFP, or you want to just go down the road of getting the
Well,
RFP
if it's
done.
gonna be a Chinese menu,
Yeah, but the problem with bringing them back, in my view, is
That's
that
the same.
the vehicles that you have
no, not the,
have to be undercover.
Not the trade guy.
Not the
but
trade
Not the
guys.
trade guys.
Just
Okay, we didn't say that, he
office
said you
staff.
guys and.
the office staff.
And
Okay,
you
the office
say
staff.
accounting too, and
And the counting, heck,
building.
building can stay probably where it is, but I don't know, maybe, you know, when we do an analysis of that building, I don't know what's gonna come out of that analysis, but the fact is, accounting and engineering, you shouldn't have to sit here for 2 hours to wait for a board meeting.
It was
because-
nice if we were downstairs and you could just call when we were upstairs.
So your RFP may include not only what we could do with the armory, but also the reuse of
That's what I
the
mean.
vacated
Okay,
building.
so we'll show that, and you know, it's all gonna be broken down in prices, so you may choose to, let's go forward with the armory.
Yeah, right, 'cause
worry
you
about
might wanna-
what's going on.
I
So you're gonna show it as
I
an
don't
alternate?
think everybody.
Yeah, I'll tell them, in the RFP, I'll tell them we should break out the tasks.
Yeah, you should, because,
Yeah.
right,
Because we may not be able to afford at this point to look at.
Yeah.
then you don't wanna block somebody in
And
either.
seeing
Well,
you,
maybe we'll do this ourselves.
And seeing you're here.
We use ourselves.
seeing
You're
you're
right.
here, you understand this, and most of these town board members were not here at the time. The reason why everything was moved to Pulaski Street is because we were running out of space, renting space that we were renting. It was costing us a lot of money, right? So we figured we'd buy a building, because everybody was kicked out of this building that was in the basement, and we had to find a place for everybody. So that building became available on Pulaski Street, and so we purchased it. It wasn't a whim to move everybody there, but it was a need at the time.
And if you remember, John, there was a problem with where P&G was up at the park.
At the park. I'm just saying, it wasn't a whim to move everybody over there. It was a necessity at the time.
And the trade shops really work out well there.
Right,
They do.
because
Welding shops,
Councilman Wu
paint shops,
said,
great for them.
they were in a park and they were afraid of hitting kids, backing your trucks in and moving them out.
I just want the office staff back over.
So now we want to move it back, so that's, I think the board gets,
Do you really think we should include both dynamics in the RFP? I'm thinking about it now, because, I mean, it's probably not a bad idea, but I'm thinking that a lot of it can be done in-house,
I
but
think so.
it's something that you might award the RFP to in 2013 time, and you're talking 2015 probably, or later before all that's done.
2015 is when the debt service takes that slight decrease.
Right, so you're looking, I mean, I don't know, I think I'd rather give somebody else a bite of that apple when that time comes.
We'll throw it in as an option.
You don't have
Show it as a
to
price.
exercise the option.
That's true, that's true, if they break it out into different
you don't have to.
places.
We looked at connecting the two buildings at one point, you know.
Yeah, I saw that.
It might work, with the police it didn't work because of the ability for them to have two ways.
Well, you'd have to go in the ground with a prisoner or
If it's an
something.
office, and, you know, we may not need the driveway.
I wouldn't even expend the money. It would be nice to connect it, but given the elevation difference,
That's a
it's
big
not
problem.
even really.
That's a big problem.
The staff can walk 2 feet from, 10 feet from one building to the other if they have to, and the inclement
Right.
weather.
So,
And how's Jeff Murphy doing with his sidewalk?
Yeah, that's a big issue, Jeff.
yeah, no way.
You got it.
We'll get on that. About 2 weeks on the, I should have an RFP.
Okay.
Thank you.
How, I'm just curious as to how you can prepare an RFP without knowing what the needs of the individual justice court and police department and all the other agencies that are gonna be going in there, what the needs of those agencies are, like how much bulletproof plexiglass, how the sound barrier room, how big that's gonna be, how can anybody?
That's part of the RFP. The RFP is.
Those are standards.
Yeah, we actually went through that exercise.
Yep.
We have a
Couple
study that
times.
was done, and I think it needs to be revisited because things change fast. It
Yeah.
must be probably about 4 or 5 years old, I think, since that was done. The RFP is going to say to take that information, re-meet with the police chief, re-meet with the justices, and.
That's what you get,
You don't know what size
you get an engineering company.
Right, we're not gonna design anything right
We're
now.
not
We're gonna
designing.
hire an architect to study and tell you what your options are, what they think your needs are, what your options are to meet those needs, and what the costs will be, and can it be phased in. So we're not really gonna be building anything yet until you see all the information in front of you, you can make a good decision.
We got to crawl before we can walk.
Right, but I mean, as far as mechanical space for the square footage and all that information, that should be predetermined before the RFP goes out, because you need to know what size room, whether you're gonna break it up, whether you're gonna have two systems. We need the most cost-efficient way to redo the armory. So we need to set some guidelines and say, and this is what we expect of you. We don't want 3 separate systems throughout the armory.
No, but I think that's the second phase.
That's
Well,
what
we're
we're
gonna,
doing.
yeah, we're gonna ask you, this RFP is gonna be for them to
Exactly what it's for.
determine that.
Right.
Okay.
And just meet with everybody, and a lot of that work has been done already, but I think we just need to revisit it, because things have changed in the
Right.
last
That's the
5 years.
second
Right, but there's unified court standards, there's
Yes,
police
we'll be
standards, there's
meeting
all that
with
stuff
all
then,
of-
right?
You know, we'll be meeting with all of,
Yeah.
department heads of those departments that are affected, and finding out what the needs are, that's what we're So
Okay.
hopefully I'll have something in 2 weeks. and
You
I'll-
better,
I'll get Jeff's sidewalk done first.
you better don't come back to work next year.
Okay.
Thank
All right, thanks.
Yeah, we'll fire you.
Bob, come on up. I'm going to talk about 2 things while Bob walks up. YMCA may be on hold.
Yeah, I read that this morning.
They contacted me, I think it was Friday afternoon of last week, with something that was pretty interesting, that they may be wanting to move to the school district property instead. I've
I think it's pretty preliminary at this point.
Where
right?
is that
Tunnel Lane?
You've been working
No,
discussion?
on Harrison Avenue,
I think where the bus garage is.
and,
What's what, though?
yeah, there's a new president that hired by the YMCA, and everything that they had done in the past apparently is getting changed. I've, just so the board knows, I've directed Frank Eisler to stop working on the lease, because we've expended substantial sums of money here, and so has the YMCA. I mean, they did the sewer study and everything else, that was not insignificant. And
Yeah, but this is just conjecture at this point anyway, isn't it?
I don't know. Fritz Trinkline, who was
He didn't
the,
seem to know much about it.
Fritz Trinkline was discharged from the YMCA.
Oh, really? 99 cents a gallon?
So I don't know where they're going. I don't know what they're doing.
Well, let's see. That's, I mean,
We're
I,
believing we're in a holding pattern at this point.
So, actually, for 10 years of work, we're
We're back.
zero again.
Yeah, but
no,
we've
it's
done,
not our work, it's
we've
the
done
YMCA
everything that we
work.
can
Reach
to
out to them.
hold
We've
their
done-
hand and try and get them here, so there's nothing more that we can do. We've done everything that we can do. As a
I
board.
prefer it right in the heart of Riverhead anyway, that's me personally.
Well, now they're saying they need 3.1 acres is the number of the school district is. For us, they always said we had to have 8 acres, so I don't know what they're doing.
Well, again, that's
It's
gonna be
all
another
on
10 years, because now the school district has to decide what they're gonna do with the buses.
I think that's part of that $70 million
So the YMCA is on.
bond that they floated 10 years ago, I think that.
The other thing-
They designed to relocate that project.
The other thing that's not on the not on the agenda is the 182 lawsuit. Bob, you want to give the board the good news on that?
I'd be pleased to do so. We got good news this week. We were notified that the Court of Appeals granted leave to us to perfect our appeal on the Part 182 lawsuit, which was phenomenal. It's an indication that the question with respect to the standing and the ability to contest rules and regulations is going to be taken seriously by the Court of Appeals. It's a good feeling, so we'll be getting further notification as to the timetable and the scheduling and how the appeals will be
Well, how
required.
come I read that in the paper last week, and we're just finding out about it now?
We only found out yesterday.
I only found out about it
It was in
Tuesday.
the paper last week.
No, it was this week.
No, I think
Where
it was
did
Tuesday
you write it up?
or
Where did you write it
Wednesday.
up?
I don't know, but it was just the other day.
It was like
The other
Tuesday.
day, I know I read it.
It was
I know
only
I
Tuesday
read
or
it.
Wednesday. 'Cause,
I know I
didn't
read
learn
it.
about it.
You the decision.
Yeah,
What?
yeah, that's right.
It was Tuesday afternoon. It was about 3. It was 3 o'clock Tuesday afternoon.
That's when I found out about it.
Okay.
I put it on the calendar.
Probably when I
Wednesday.
read it Tuesday night, then.
Yeah,
Probably.
Needless to say, it's good news,
it's good news.
Good
and
news.
something is rolling in our favor when it comes to the DEC trying to prevent development at EPCAL.
Well, the 182 was the, with EPCAL, with the animals and the birds or something,
Yes.
right?
The regulations.
The
they
regulations,
implemented,
because
we-
people out there don't know what
Right,
182 is.
182 was the, with respect to the displacement and the takings.
Right.
Takings of the wild.
Right, so.
So,
It's actually the regulation.
We're
Probably
challenging their regulations, which
Yeah.
put more of an onus on
And
applicants.
the
on
lower
future
court,
applicants.
the lower court said we have no standing.
Well,
because
both
we
lower
haven't
courts.
taken, there was no action to submit an application for anything, so.
We had a 4-month period to contest
This
it,
is-
and we couldn't file an
Right.
application within that
Yeah,
4-month period,
because
so they
we
said we didn't
haven't-
have a standing, and the upper court said it was unreasonable.
Right, yep.
Well, the upper court's just granted leave at this point in
Yes.
time, so
Yeah.
the questions to be resolved and the questions to be presented are to come.
Yes.
Right.
And
You
to
don't
be
know that.
fashioned
Right.
and then argued, so.
They may just open up the 4-month period
Very good.
for us to do
Well, if they.
I don't think the
remand-
4-month statute of limitations issue will be amended. I think it's just a question
Oh,
of
yeah.
standing in an aggrieved municipality, aggrieved parties' right to challenge legislation procedurally and otherwise. I think
Okay.
that's, again, we don't know what
what they want.
will be presented at this point, other than what we've already made arguments below, so those will go to the Court of Appeals.
Good news.
Good news. 'cause-
Good work, and nice time, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so it's come to, I've asked Bob to look for model procedures for the town board. There's been some past supervisors that said they thought we adopted Robert's rules or something, but we don't think that's the case. So to
We'll
clear up
continue that search, but we
confusion.
haven't found
And
any indication that Robert's Rules of Order were adopted by any prior boards. And I was asked to.
But it certainly has been a way of doing it. I mean, we've been following it, whether we've adopted it officially or not.
That's
Well,
really.
portions of it we've been following it, portions of it we haven't, so.
The reality.
I was talking, you have the floor right now?
Did you raise your hand, sir?
Were you recognized?
I don't know if that's
The
debatable or not.
distinguished councilman to my right?
I don't know, I don't know if we ever followed Robert's Rules of Order.
No, we don't.
No, just procedure.
We don't.
We follow the town of Riverhead Town Board
Actually,
rules and procedures.
Actually, we don't follow the town procedure either, because when we vote, we're not supposed to vote with a yes or no, we're supposed to vote with a yay or nay vote.
Right, and town law says.
And we
that
don't
the-
follow that either.
And town law says that the deputy supervisor is to oversee meetings and work sessions,
We
but
don't
the
follow-
supervisor's not
Yeah,
here.
we don't follow that at all,
That being said, and everybody having pointed out
town law.
what the town law says.
Yeah, right, and then that's-
Town law 63 is the applicable provision, and it
That's correct.
spells out the fact that a town board can adopt rules, and in the absence thereof, proceed accordingly. I was asked to just do a quick investigation of sampling. It was very easy. I contacted the Association of Towns, and they provided me a whole listing of a sampling of rules that other municipalities have adopted. I'm only handing up to you at this point sample rules that have been drafted by the Association of Towns, because they're somewhat short and sweet and address some of the high points that most of the municipalities have addressed in their rules, the ones that have adopted their rules and procedures. Some are elaborate, some are only one page, some are 4 or 5 pages, some spell out all the parties' roles, the town board's roles, the town supervisor's roles, rules of order, debatable motions, non-debatable motions, et cetera, et cetera.
Is that town law 63?
The-
Section 63.
Town Law 63 is the enabling legislation, but with respect to what the towns have done, it's been their own rules and procedures as to how they've adopted them. I just wanted to come to you, see where you want to go with this, whether you want to take it back to code revision, whether you want me to put together a sample and take some high points from various municipalities, or run
I don't think you need to
from
go to
this.
code revision, I think we should just take so is this a draft?
I like number 8.
This
Number 8's
is
my best.
right
I like
from Lori Miffin, who's Lori Miffin hyphenated, I forget what her married name is now, but she provided this and as well as a sampling of others. I just thought this one was real good right off the bat, because it hits some of the high points, deals with some of the things we've dealt with, and there's such as during public hearings. What's the scope of a public hearing? It directs the speakers to the fact that they should be addressing the topic at hand only, addressing the town board instead of addressing the audience. This doesn't get into time limitations, but a lot of municipalities have, a lot of municipalities have.
We don't want that. It's just,
So, and not only with respect to public hearings, with respect to open discussion at the end of at the end of the town board meeting. Some municipalities have adopted a 3-minute rule, some have adopted other rules. They also spell out, one municipality, for example, had a procedure where those in favor of a particular proposition that was a public hearing, speak first.
Yeah,
Those opposed, speak second.
That
So-
actually is easier.
It is.
I think that's a good thing, because
it's
that
less
way you
confusing.
can, right, it's less confusing. You
number
don't have
8,
that back
13,
and
14,
forth
there's a couple to them.
arguing with you. I actually like,
The number of.
Well, this is also very, I thought this was great, because if we wanted to even make it a little bit more clear to speakers, we could utilize our screen and throw up the rules and procedures every meeting, so that when someone gives up, you can point to them and say, look at rule number 3.
And also, we can limit the number of times a speaker can speak.
I like
So I thought that was also very, I think it's beneficial.
I have a problem with number 7. No motion or resolution may be brought to a vote except by the majority consent of those present, unless printed or typewritten copies thereof are presented to each member of the board 48 hours prior to the opening of the meeting. Without a waiver for that by a majority of the board, we have resolutions that are put in front of us at every board meeting that we haven't seen or discussed before, such as budget transfers, and time is of the essence when the supervisor has resolutions that he needs to put forward, and I just think that
This doesn't include that.
There are variations to this, there are variants to this, where
No,
the
it says-
I
emergencies.
read this different than Jody.
I do
A
too.
motion or resolution may be brought except
Majority
by
can bring it
majority.
unless-
That's what we do.
Right, that's what we
consent
do.
of those present.
Right, that's what we do.
Unless it's less than you can go 40.
Can't be voted unless majority consent of those present, or unless printed or typed.
Correct.
Yeah, I think this is exactly what we do.
That's exactly what we do.
So we
Now,
can
48
pull
hours,
one.
maybe 48 hours is too great of a time period, you may want to make that 24 hours.
48 hours is kind of what we try to do it.
We try to do it
Thursday before the board meeting, but that doesn't work.
Can't
I think 48 hours is reasonable.
Well, the reality is sometimes things come up during the work session discussion which require the preparation of the resolution, which,
Doing,
you know.
This is right at this.
But you can still take it off the floor.
This is verbatim out of the Association of Towns.
This is a sample of what the Association of Towns, this is exactly what they gave me, I did not modify
You
it,
didn't
I
modify it
did
at all?
not put pen to this. This is
I
what
thought you
they
said
gave
there
me.
were several samples that
You're
they gave you.
suggesting, I'm just listening to you, maybe it would be 24.
I'm just saying if the 48 hours is a concern, you can make it 24.
I think 24, because some of these things we're working on now.
Well, we're not gonna adopt it, we're not gonna adopt it.
This
It'll be
is-
24.
No.
This is one of how many samples that were
I
given
was
to you?
given a total of about 10.
You were given 10
Eight-
samples.
eight to
I'd like to
10.
see
This
all
was-
10.
I can forward it.
Great.
Send them to the date.
Most of them did have some verbiage about a motion or resolution being filed beforehand or distributed to other town board members, and one they required it to be filed with the town clerk beforehand. Some required a majority of the board to vote to take it off the table where it wasn't 48 hours. Some required it to be unanimous by the board to take something off. That was not.
This is a majority. This is probably a reasonable compilation of everyone's, if the Association of Towns has their input on it. So if you want to forward the other samples to the board members, and let's see
I'll
if we
send
can.
it. I'll send it around to all of you this afternoon.
It's not going to be, we're not going to do this Tuesday, but let's see if we can't take this up by the end of the year.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Place at the beginning of the year.
All right.
Thank you, Bob.
All right, resolutions, I guess.
Where are they? Here they come.
Wow, we still got a long executive session.
I hope not.
Grab to eat lunch first. Eat quick. Well, eat in executive session.
Yeah, you might be talking with mouthful.
Okay, number one, oh, I had my lunch, so I'll eat, you guys grab a sandwich. One, general fund historic properties budget adjustment.
That's the carriage house, you have to put that. We also broke 3 for
This is,
that.
Bill, this is coming out of the town's general fund balance.
Yes.
Hopefully we get reimbursed by FEMA.
Yeah, that's the thing, we're not sure how much of it we are and if we are, so I don't have any lunch to take it out of. If FEMA reimburse us, then up to 12.5% will be on us.
But this is in the estimate that was submitted for reimbursement, correct?
This is the total amount, so if FEMA reimbursed us, then we would be on the 12.5% of this.
Yeah, they usually reimburse 75%.
75%.
That's 75
Yeah.
federal and 12.5, excuse me, 12.5 state. But it just it hasn't been confirmed yet, so
Okay.
I can't
I just want to
assume
make sure
that.
that this is the chief's list of reimbursements that he submitted, that's all I'm asking. The chief had a list of all municipal damage of municipal properties, I just want to make sure that this was on the list.
I will check with them.
Two, general
If not,
fund
put it on the list.
budget adjustment, I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah.
Two, budget adjustment, general fund.
I think we might be ratifying that, actually. I think they walked that around a couple days ago.
Is this the one that we just
That's the
circulated?
Railspur.
Tara,
I'm sorry, I'm
number
back.
two.
Yeah, first one. This is the rail spur, this is that annual thing, this is the one
This is
that
what we,
you guys already signed
Yes,
off on.
we'll
it.
ratify that.
that's good. Well, it's not a right, but yeah, you're right.
We'll all sign it.
No.
Who signed off on it? Because this is the first time I'm seeing
That
it.
was the rail.
I did.
Well, that was the rail.
Is this the one that Margaret was walking
So
around?
this,
Yes, I did.
Yeah, that's the one Margaret was
Yes, I
walking
saw
around
that.
with.
so this is for what?
The annual inspection of the rail spur that they have to do.
But it says it's going into roads repair and maintenance, so I guess that's the budget line it's supposed to go into for a
Yeah.
fee.
It's for the rail spur and
Yeah.
the annual inspection.
Yeah, this is the rail spur.
It's what we do every year.
Yep.
Okay, so we budgeted for this, or no? Next year we will? So,
All right, 3, highway district budget adjustment.
I'm not sure.
Highway district budget adjustment, snow removal.
I guess he had money left over, snow removal.
He still has 35,000 left in there, Sean, after this 55 is done, and it's for the month of December. And he uses it for salt and outside contractors and stuff like that.
What is he moving it from?
Now,
Okay,
yeah,
snow
The
removal.
snow removal contractual,
Right.
and he will, after this 55,000 transfer, he'll still have 35,000 left.
Okay.
Mhm.
4, authorizes execution and submission of grant application to Suffolk County for fiscal year 2013 for community development block grant funds.
This is
what we had.
Maury said when we put in this one.
Right.
Last year someone got 10,000 and he got nothing. So he's put in.
I still don't know what the pedestrian bicycle improvements, I thought that was, I know we went to public hearing on this. Chris here?
No, she's still out. You did the 116,
I thought it
Jim,
was-
remember we looked at this yesterday, what was it, 100?
106.
Is this our share of the
Do
grant
you want me to get
for
Joe?
bicycle improvements?
I
What about Joey? Does he
You
know
want me to
anything?
get Joe?
Yeah, I have Joey with me.
Alright.
Let's go to 5. 5 authorizes the chairman to execute the CDA resolution, 3-month license agreement with Lowford Wind Group. Because they're still doing
Will be
this
the
test.
test out
Yeah,
there?
That's been
again.
a while ago, isn't it?
mhm.
Okay.
Not gonna be able to do this
Give it
anymore.
back to me.
You're right.
We're not gonna be able to do this Lowford Wind Group anymore.
I didn't think so, Sean, but it was in the packet, so.
Can you, hold on, Joe, can you let Bob know to call Lowford and
Tell
tell
him
him that we're
no.
storing cars on the runway?
Okay.
Joe, on this agreement, what do we know what the pedestrian bicycle improvements are?
That one I don't, I can tell you about any of the groups, which you guys probably don't know about.
I don't
those.
remember, I thought we were putting lights up or something on Main Street.
You just don't know what this is about.
Alright, well, leave it in the package, but Chris, just take a copy, well, I gotta take it, but just make sure Chris comes to talk to us about this before Tuesday.
I'll actually call her now or text her now or something.
Okay,
Yeah,
will you?
yeah, pedestrian bicycle.
Thanks.
I wanna know.
Oh, you make a copy.
6, appoints a part-time crossing guard.
Okay, well, we're doing crossing guards. Can I just ask a question? We still have a crossing guard that we're paying, across from the, aquarium. And really, all the kids are in school now, and there's a crosswalk there. I don't know why we still have a guard there full-time, 7 days a week or 6 days a week, watching kids, when the kids are in school.
Yeah, they cross people all day long.
Yeah, but
I mean, it's not as busy, I agree.
It's not attended out well to, for the expense that we're paying for this crossing guard.
I like
I don't know.
And it's a crosswalk there.
I don't know about that. I mean, I would probably tend to agree with you, but I tell you, I'm down there probably 30 times a day from where I live, and people will not stop for pedestrians. They just will not stop. And it's kind of around that turn coming past 540 heading west. People scoot. I mean, I
Well, I'm
think,
telling you, you go to any other state, I was just up in Cape Cod. As soon as they come and they see a person approaching The street, they stop.
I stop
Why
myself.
can they do that all over the United States, but not in New York?
I don't know.
You know,
That's a
that's
bigger
a
issue,
rhetorical
John.
question that I won't even go near, but I can tell you, when I stopped at the crosswalk to let people cross, when there wasn't a crossing guard there, I almost got rear-ended.
Yeah.
Put a stop it.
Because I
The only thing that I would
we
see
need
that,
enforcement, that's what I think.
that would make more sense is moving the crosswalk over to the other
East
corner.
side.
Yeah, to
Yeah,
the
right.
east side
Yeah, you're right.
of 25 and Ostrander,
I think
because
that's being,
now they gotta cross both ways to get across the street instead of
You're
just one
exactly
way.
right. I agree with you.
Yeah, but what's on the east side, we move to the west.
On the east side,
No,
it's
it used
on
to be
the
up
west
near
side of
Tunnels.
Ostrander,
Right,
Should be on the
go to
east
side,
side.
you're right.
so that they can come right out of the parking lot and then cross the street
But that's
instead of having to cross west
Well,
and then
the
cross
problem
south.
I see is, when this was discussed a while ago, when the crosswalk was up near Tuttle's, and we wanted to move it, that suggestion was not brought up here, and it was said move to the corner,
When was that?
and they moved it to the corner.
I
No,
think
it's part of the
being-
site plan.
Guys,
When
it's
we
being
when we
looked at.
discussed- No, when they repaved, and remarked everything, before that, that's when it should have been discussed.
So you discussed that when in traffic safety?
No,
It's being looked at
we
the
discussed in the
sidewalk
town board
renovations.
here. I brought up, yeah, I brought up numerous times at the town board, why is it up there, and it should be at the corner?
It's not ours, it's the state's,
Yeah, right.
it's being
Right,
evaluated
your
as,
Yeah.
recommendation.
Right?
guys, it's being evaluated
Yes,
as
Very
part of
good.
the sidewalks.
And I'm,
Let me get that.
and I'm happy with that.
okay,
Number 7.
okay.
Yes, Joe.
It's for lighting fixtures for the downtown sidewalks.
Bicycle,
I guess this is what it's called.
It's doing that grant probably,
Yes.
okay.
Okay, appoints an on-call fire inspector.
And we skipped right past Tracy, what happened?
Yeah,
with
we-
7?
Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped past Tracy, yeah. 7, setting terms and conditions for town board coordinator Tracy Penseski.
I hope they didn't change anything from the time we hired her.
I think this actually mirrors, last town board coordinator, except
A little
for
less salary.
salary.
Salaries, yeah, got rolled back a little bit.
Yep. So that's good.
I think totally it'd say this $2,600 between that and 2.8 and salary.
Should have been there last time anyway.
Yeah.
Well, it's just all right.
8, appoints a call-in fire inspector.
Yeah, this is what you guys had agreed to.
Yeah.
Who's Christopher Mount?
He actually is currently a Brookhaven fire marshal. There was only 2 applicants that applied, and the one didn't have enough licenses and experience, and this one
These
did.
are the ones that they interviewed,
Yep.
and they said that, we should hire him before somebody else does.
It's just a call-in for,
Huh?
Okay,
Number
accepts,
9 and 10 are, number 9 is bad enough by itself without having a duplicate. So,
so take 9
Oh,
out.
there's 2 of them, I'm sorry.
How did we find any more kennel attendants?
Not that I'm aware
we
of.
posted, I don't know, we've got any in. No?
It'll probably be the same people that apply every time.
Can I ask a question about the kennel?
Yeah.
On those doors, now, I understand and I heard that it's hard to, without a kennel attendant there, it's hard to feed these dogs when they're supposed to be fed and clean them, or the kennels. Is that being done? I mean, or are we waiting to hire somebody?
No, it's being
Oh,
done.
it's been
No,
done.
yeah, it's being done.
Huh? By
It's
who?
being done. Well, Maureen is there,
Yeah.
and then Vicky's there.
And Jacob's there till the end of the year.
Yeah.
When of this month?
Next,
December 1st?
yeah.
We might have to increase the salary if we can't get anybody in here.
We're gonna have to do something.
Because we gotta get somebody in there.
Yeah, we have.
Well,
to get
Jessica, I
somebody.
gotta reach out to her, I think she's coming back next week.
Is she?
Better.
Yeah, 'cause I don't want any negatives up there at the dog,
Yeah, well,
right?
I'll continue to put out the fires for us.
11, appoints a temporary clerk to the tax receiver's office.
This is the, the seasonals, Sean.
Okay.
This is the first time for this person to work for us?
Yes.
Could you find out, Suffolk County National Bank
That's it.
in the town of
Interesting.
Southampton collects
Yes.
the taxes, okay, at each one of their branches, which is better for the taxpayer and it's better for the town. Why can't we try to implement something like that?
I think as part of the computer system, that's part of getting the whole computer system upgraded. We don't have the ability to put our tax bills like virtual online.
No, tax, when they get a tax
Talking
bill,
about hiring
they
some-
go into the Susquehanna National Bank, put the tax bill, write their check, or
And
whatever,
they pay it to Suffolk
and
County?
they pay it to Suffolk County. Suffolk County then transmits
Oh, I didn't know.
by wire.
Well, maybe it's just because it's those people that have accounts with Suffolk County National Bank. I don't think anybody could just come in and pay.
No, everybody can come in.
Really?
Yeah, they put in an
never heard
account, and then they wire, about every hour, they wire the tax receiver to tell them how much money that they have.
Bill will look
I'll look
into it.
into it.
I can walk into the Suffolk County National Bank and make out my check to the receiver of taxes, town of Riverhead, and the
Right,
bank
that's
will
what
take it?
Yes.
I never
Really?
heard of that.
We
I'll
never-
look into it.
Go over to Southampton.
It's not made
Well,
paid to them, I
talk
would
to
think,
someone
well,
at the bank.
That's Southampton taxes, not town.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, that's what I said. to
I'm
you,
saying
John. Our
Southampton,
computer system
but not,
doesn't-
why can't Riverhead do
Because our
that?
computer system is not able to, it's not a virtual computer system. It
that seems like
doesn't
more
have
headaches than it's worth.
the ability to put
We don't need.
our tax bills and everything online the way other towns can. That's part of upgrading the computer
No,
system.
why do we have to put online? Why
So
can't,
the
we
bank has
mail them a
access to
tax
it,
bill?
because
They take their tax bill,
It's being done.
right?
It's being done. Don't worry about it.
Next year it's being done.
It's being done. I don't know if it'll be next year. We're gonna buy the computer system. We're gonna hopefully make
And I
a
could-
decision in
my-
13.
My mortgage would pay the taxes to the bank, and then the bank would forward to the town, and then the town would
No,
forward
your
it back to me.
mortgage, no.
Well, my
You as
taxes,
a taxpayer,
well, my mortgage paid
get
by
a tax bill.
Right.
You go to your nearest branch, which would Wade River, people would go to Wade River branch. They have a branch person there.
Well, any bank.
No, not any bank, no. I'm talking about Suffolk County National, they do it for Southampton. They present their tax bill, and that little coupon that says first half, they'd pay that, it would go into an account of Riverhead, and then they would then notify Riverhead how much money they've collected almost every hour. They collect something. It doesn't have to be virtual, you get your tax bill, and you bring your tax bill.
Okay, can you ask Lori? She's the tax
John, Bill's gonna look into it.
I'll look into it.
and then
I'll get in
ask
touch
him.
with Suffolk County National
Bill will
Bank,
look into
ask
it.
how they do it in Southampton, see if it's something that we're limited because of our system, and I'll let you guys know what happens.
Okay, call up,
Vinnie?
Barzak, he's the manager of Hampton Bays.
I'm sorry, Bob who?
Bob, his last name is Barzak.
Is this for Bob?
It's here for Bob, and he will explain to you how it's done in the town of
I
Southampton
will do that.
for their taxes. Okay?
Okay.
And that's all I've been asking.
I've never heard you ever say anything about that before. Appoints a temporary clerk to the tax receiver's
Huh?
office, Cody Haas.
I've never heard that. That's good. I don't care.
12, reappoints a temporary clerk to the tax receiver's office, Christina Rowe.
Yep, she's done that before. She's been here a couple of years.
13,
Scott
appoints a
Cook.
call-in recreation aide to the recreation department. 14, awards bid for insurance brokerage services. We went out to RFP, and the only one that applied was Familetti and Arthur Gallagher, who's the agent
We're doing
we
it
have,
anyway.
and so we're awarding. Did what we could. 15, approves the Chapter 90 application of competitive events group, duathlon, run, walk. We did this already. This is at the Wading River Boy Scout Camp.
You didn't do this? Oh, no, I did a work session on it.
I thought we did this one, Tara.
This is for next year, though.
Yeah, I thought we did one for next year.
I'll check.
I think we did the one for
For
June.
June, for downtown.
Yeah, for downtown.
One downtown.
Check if this one, I thought I saw this one too.
I will.
I thought it was for-
Well,
Six.
what's this for?
Oh, they have a, well, it was a triathlon, now it's only a duathlon. They have
Is it
a,
downtown?
no, it's at the ship Scout Wading River.
Okay.
16, establishes expedited emergency procedures for approval under Chapter 12 and Chapter 107 for the Riverhead Town Code. This is to expedite our building permits.
It was the request of the building department to extend it because people are waiting for insurance companies to come in and evaluate the damage before they can actually come in and get their permits. So,
This is different, but you're
Well, I
right.
think this includes the CAC and something else.
Yeah, this is different, but we're gonna, the next one is the.
Yeah,
Next one's.
the next
This
one
one
is
is
what
to
you're talking
expedite the
about.
chapter 12 and 107.
That's correct.
Okay. Can I, well, we're on the CAC, can I ask you a question? The CAC sends us resolutions from the CAC. Your advisory report. What do we do with those resolutions? Other
If
than
we
read
decide,
them and
Yeah.
if we decide to take action on it, we can either take their resolution and adopt what their findings, or we could have a hearing and have different findings, or if you leave it be, it becomes the permit.
Yeah. It's more FYI, right?
the only thing that I've spoken to the clerk about is that, and Anne Marie also, who's the attorney for the CAC, is that a lot of times when we see the resolutions, it doesn't say what the application was for, what they were applying for to do. It just says what the findings are, so
Right, yeah.
to include what the request is for the permit.
Well,
As part of the
that's pretty much-
resolution.
Well, yeah, I was able to figure out.
It just says who the applicant is,
Yeah,
it doesn't
like-
say
yeah.
what they're
Right.
trying to do.
right, know where it is.
Right.
I think it's the system, Jim, I'll have to have Dennis check into it.
What's that?
That noise.
I heard it all last night too, and I thought we had a button device, man.
I know. I'll
Didn't
have
watch
Dennis
what
look
I
into
said,
it.
it
He's
was
coming on
terrible.
Tuesday, I'll have him look into it.
Okay, 16, establish, no, we did that one. 17, this is extends the building permit waiver fees to February 1st, 2013. This is what you're talking about,
Yep.
for the storm-related. So any storm-related building permit fees that you have, or you're making an application for, will be extended
And
until
who makes that,
February
who
1st,
makes that
2013.
determination?
Yeah, the building department, putting a second floor on your house or something
Yeah.
like that, or a swimming pool in that's not storm related, but if you're doing bulkheading or
The
replacing.
roof fell off, where's my second floor? Yeah, okay.
Authorizes town clerk to publish and post a notice for public hearing regarding a local law to amend chapter 108 zoning of Riverhead
Where
Town
did
Code.
this come from?
I have no idea where this came from, this is the first time I'm seeing it.
I have no idea either.
This came from Bob, and he's actually asking to make sure it gets done because he wants to hold the public hearing before January.
I don't even know what it's for.
It's for light industrial to add uses of health spas and health-related facilities, including health clubs and gymnasiums, health spas, and wellness centers, so.
Is there someone on,
Do you want
in the
me,
light industrial zone?
That wants to
That's
do
for the
this.
YMCA.
I don't know what this is
I have a
for.
feeling this might be for the YMCA, I don't know.
he said, we held off on this so that Joe Hall could do the seeker. It was done and ready to go.
Yeah, well,
We can hold on.
pull it out because I think it's the YMCA.
All right, Bill just wants to go get
Well,
coffee.
let's see. Might not be a bad, special permitted use.
I don't know that you want,
Yeah, but I don't know.
light
I
industrial
don't
people
know.
going to and from,
Huh?
Why not have a health spa in an industrial park? Seems like it makes sense to me.
Yeah, sure, you need something to get all that smoke out
Because
of your lungs.
I don't think we're getting that now. 19, extends bid for electric motor repair replacement, including emergency repair for the Riverhead Water District.
Emergency repair.
So that's annoying.
not as annoying as the bowling pins.
No, well, it was all last night, it was doing it. I thought maybe had bugs in here or something.
Dead bugs? What kind of
No,
bugs?
the bugs, like, homing devices.
We have to see whether you're allowed to have 2 extensions under this contract. Can you run this by Anne Marie?
Sure.
Because if you don't have a provision for an extension in the contract, I don't think you can do it.
Just for an additional 1-year period.
Right, we did it once already.
Yes, it's-
20, appoints a call-in recreation aide to the Recreation Department. 21, sewer district budget adjustment. No.
Yeah.
What's this for, Mike?
This is for extra sludge disposal expenses for sewer infrastructure. We had a tank cleaning this year.
So it just generated more, you know, we took the
Has
whole
the
thing
disposal
down.
rate gone up?
What's that?
Has the disposal rate gone up?
The rate hasn't gone up, but the amount that we generated did go up because
Yeah,
we
that's
took the tank
really
down out
bad.
of the service and cleaned it out.
Okay.
So you get debris that remains from, you know, one year to the next. So that has to be removed.
Thank you.
Bob, what is the light industrial adding health spa, health-related facilities? Is that the YMCA?
Well, it's that zoning district, yeah.
Was it for the YMCA? You can pull that.
Okay.
Thanks.
But thanks for your work on it, though.
Yes, we appreciate all the work.
I'll throw it out.
Well, tell Joe Hall too, because he did a lot of background seeker work already on it. I'll pass that
The
on.
town has expended a lot of money on the YMCA going to EPCAL.
Well, you know, I have to go along with the council,
Say that louder.
that this may be good for industrial, like EPCAL. But there's a lot of people up there that at lunch might want to go and exercise during lunch. And there's still really no place up there for them to exercise. So if somebody wanted to open an exercise place up there, that may be very good for that.
Well, that was put in for the YMCA.
Yeah, let's put in for the
Yeah, I don't know why we
YMCA,
should
but
exclude it.
I'm just saying that, that might be.
Want to move forward with the
I think
budget?
so, I think so.
I think it might be a good idea.
Especially committed, so it's not like,
Yeah, you know?
it's as a run.
Okay, that's back in turn.
What?
That
Okay.
change to the light industrial codes back in.
Then we'll vote it down again.
22, scavenger waste fund budget.
Well, we want to keep everybody healthy.
23.
Yeah, that's just the mirror is the sewer.
It's for the scavenger waste.
Yes, it
23.
mirrors the sewer.
Riverhead Housing Fund General Budget Adjustment. This was not budgeted for, this telephone?
We budgeted 12 instead of $14,000. I think we intended at that point to reduce what we paid them, but then that passed resolution came up recently where there was no changes to it. We were still allocating $14,000 for them.
Yes, fine. 24, Stop and Shop Fuel Facility, Riverhead Sewer, Stop and Shop Fuel
Yeah, they're
Facility.
putting it on West 358, the old gas station.
Sean, what they
I
need to
guess-
do, there's a sewer main that runs across the church's property. Stop and Shop gas station is purchasing, the old gas station from USA, they're purchasing property from the
Church.
church.
Move it
So,
south.
in order to install their tank, they need to relocate the sewer line. So these are the engineering fees that are to come up with the mapping plan to relocate the sewer line.
They're paying for this.
They're paying for everything.
Okay.
All I thought about was grocery store.
No, I guess
Well, actually,
if you
you're
shop
going
there, you're
to
going for
stop.
gas.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
So it is.
Yeah, we were up in Cape Cod and we got gas at the Stop and Shop gas station.
It's a gas station that's owned by Stop and Shop, and you
Yeah.
get extra points because you use your Stop and Shop.
If you pay their inflated prices for their food, you get to have gas at a reduced rate.
They don't have inflated prices, they actually have
Oh, I
prices.
don't know about that.
And right now you can only use Shell and Gulf to use your Stop and Shop card, so I guess they're being innovative business entrepreneurs and establishing their own gas stations.
All right, 25, Stormwater Pollution Prevention Plan Budget Adjustment. Bill, what is this, to collect the money so we can pay to the different,
Yes, in the past, most of the fees that we collected, or all the fees we collected, we incurred cost in-house, so I did not need to spend any money out of a separate appropriation account. Now for hiring outside engineers to do some of the work, I have no authority or no budget line to pay them out. If we collect $3,000, I may need to increase revenue and appropriation by $1,000 to pay the outside consultants. Or come to this board for $200 every 2 weeks and we make a payment, which doesn't make sense.
It's good because it's almost like the trust fund that we have. We just have to make sure
It's
that when the
matching.
project's approved, that they get their money back.
There's
that they-
resolutions that
When it's
aren't
completed,
good.
if they gave us 3 and we only spent $1,200,
Right.
we gave them.
Yep.
There's other resolutions coming, I know that, I know we're gonna close out the MTAS account that was started prior to 501c3. That might be next week to transfer, give that all back to them.
Oh, yeah. What did Charlotte know about that?
Well, Alyssa and Bill and everybody go through that. What happened was when MTAS first started,
Right.
the town collected money because she didn't have a 501c3, so we created a line. Well, now that she's a 501's up and running, we no longer need that, even need that money. So we'd rather just empty that out, give it to her,
So they're gonna
take
give
it
us-
out of town's hands. It's like $5,000, but.
I make a motion, we close the work session and go into executive session for, we're gonna talk about personnel of the sewer department and contractual agreements with, Shaw's Knee, Cable Vision, SOA, and PBA.
All in favor?
Hey.
Aye.